Synopsis. As the eldest son of the Hatake family, Kakashi's brother, Hatake Satoru, has a more terrifying ninja talent than Kakashi. He also has an innate golden finger, which is all the inheritance of Gojo Satoru in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. As a person above the ceiling in the world of Jujutsu, he is naturally above the ceiling in the world of Naruto. Although he doesn't have Kekkei Genkai like Sharingan and Byakugan, he has the most unique 6 eyes, a.k.a. Rikugan. My adorable little brother, your brother is the strongest. Satoru touched Kakashi's head and said this. The slightly raised corner of his mouth and the strong confidence in his words made Kakashi feel extremely at ease in any desperate situation. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Omni-sensei. Welcome to What If I Was Reborn as Kakashi's older brother with Gojo template. Part 1. If you enjoy this type of content, please gently exterminate the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Remember to check out the original story linked in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. Land of Fire. Konohagakure Ninja Village, Hatake family. A little boy with white hair and sunglasses was lying on his side on the tatami. Next to him was a food magazine. Looking at the various desserts on it, the eyes under the little boy's sunglasses unconsciously released a light. Brother, I knew you were slacking off here again. The Ninja Academy is going to start tomorrow. I hope you won't fail the entrance exam of the Ninja Academy. That would really disgrace father. At this time, the door of the room was suddenly pulled open, and a little boy with white hair and a face mask spoke. Don't worry, Kakashi, your brother is very strong. The exam tomorrow is a piece of cake for me. The person who just stood at the door and spoke was the future genius ninja Hatake Kakashi, a man who is strong when he meets the strong and weak when he meets the weak, known as Hatake Kakashi. The figure lying on his side didn't turn around at all, but directly turned his back to Kakashi, waving his hand indifferently. At this, a trace of helplessness appeared in Kakashi's eyes. His brother was good in every way. His talent as a ninja was also very strong, but his personality was a bit unlikable, and he seemed to dislike being a ninja. Kakashi had never seen his brother practice seriously, but in the spars, Kakashi has never won against his brother once, which often makes him doubt whether he has the talent to become a ninja. Father will go with us tomorrow. Father asked me to tell you not to be late. Otherwise, he will personally carry your bed to the door of the Ninja Academy, letting you experience what it feels like to sleep in front of everyone in Konohagakure village. All right, I know, Kakashi, you're really noisy, tell father. I will get up on time. Although his face was thick, but that kind of sleeping at the door of the Ninja Academy and on his own bed was still very embarrassing. He knew that his father was definitely not just talking. If he really overslept tomorrow, Hatake Satoru would definitely do what he said. Kakashi left, and Hatake Satoru also closed the magazine in front of him, lying flat on the tatami, with both hands cushioned behind his head, looking at the ceiling above his head. Time flies so fast. It's been 5 years since I came to this world in the blink of an eye. Hatake Satoru has a secret in his heart that he has never told anyone. That is, he is not from this world, or rather, he was reincarnated into this world with the memories of his previous life. But if you ask how he died in his previous life, he doesn't know himself. He only knows that as soon as he opened his eyes, he came to this world, and next to him was a crying Kakashi. He became a person who does not exist in the original Naruto world. Hatake Kakashi's brother, Hatake Satoru's eldest son, Hatake Satoru. Not only does he have a terrifying ninja talent comparable to Kakashi, but he also received the inheritance of a very powerful character from another world. That is, the undisputed absolute power sealing in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, Gojo Satoru. Although he received the inheritance of Gojo Satoru, it does not mean that he has the power of Gojo Satoru. He also needs to practice slowly. But the only thing Hatake Satoru got without training is Gojo Satoru's eyes. The 6 eyes, a.k.a. Rikugan. This is also why Hatake Satoru wears sunglasses. Of course, Hatake Satoru having a pair of special eyes is not a secret. But people are wondering, is he Hatake Satoru's son? As the son of Konohagakure's White Fang, it's no exaggeration to say that he has been the focus of attention since he was born. Although this kind of thing annoys him, he has no choice. he can't change his own life. The next morning, Hatake Satoru got up early, which was rare, and had breakfast with Kakashi and his father. Satoru, if you don't like being a ninja, I won't force you, but you know, as my son, if you don't have any strength, it will be very dangerous. During breakfast, Hatake Satoru spoke. He was also very helpless about his eldest son. He clearly had a terrifying talent, but he seemed to have never seen him practice. Don't worry, father. I like being a ninja. That's good. In the Ninja Academy, you must study hard and strive to become a better ninja than your father. Hatake Satoru believes that if his eldest son is willing to study hard and practice diligently, surpassing himself is not a difficult task. And as a brother, you must take care of your younger brother in academy. I should be the one taking care of him. At this time, Kakashi muttered quietly, but both Satoru and Satoru were not ordinary people, and they heard what Kakashi said word for word. But neither of them said much. After all, Hatake Satoru felt that Kakashi was not wrong, and it might really be his younger son taking care of his elder son in the end. And Satoru was just too lazy to argue. After all, he came to this world, and he knew what he had been like in these 5 years. In life, he was completely a waste. But as for whether he is a waste or not, perhaps only Satoru himself knows. All right, Kakashi, after you finish cleaning up, let's go to the Ninja Academy together. Yes, father. Seeing Kakashi very consciously cleaning up the bowls and chopsticks on the table and taking them to wash, Satoru's face showed a smile. Originally, this was something he, as the eldest son, should do. But after Satoru broke dozens of bowls, Hatake Satoru decisively gave up the idea of letting Satoru do housework. He was afraid that Satoru would eventually lift the roof of the house, so this heavy responsibility naturally fell on Kakashi. As for this, Hatake Satoru didn't feel guilty at all towards Kakashi. He claimed it was to give Kakashi all-round training and to cultivate Kakashi into a decathlete. Satoru's smile naturally couldn't escape Satoru's eyes. But what could he do? No one could force Satoru to do what he didn't want to do, so he could only let his younger son suffer. Let's go. Let's go to the Ninja Academy. It's not good to be late. Yes, father. Kakashi and Satoru spoke at the same time. Yes, father. Kakashi and Satoru spoke at the same time. At this time, Kakashi had not experienced the death of his loved ones, so he was still a very tsundere child, and he had a strong sense of competition towards his brother. Although he was not as good as his brother in terms of strength, he did indeed crush him in other aspects. Anyway, that's what Kakashi thought in his heart. As for what Kakashi would think after he knew the truth in the future, no one knows. When Hatake Satoru and his sons walked out of the Hatake mansion, the pedestrians on the road were very enthusiastic about greeting the three of them. After all, Hatake Satoru could be said to be a hero of Konohagakure village, who had made great contributions to Konohagakure village and had a high prestige among ordinary people. Satoru would greet these people warmly, while Kakashi always had a cold face, as if everyone owed him money. In this respect, Satoru still liked Satoru very much. After all, Hatake Satoru could also be said to be born of a commoner. The Hatake family was not a big family. Before him, there had never been a very outstanding ninja. When they arrived at the entrance of the Ninja Academy, some ninjas who were sending their children even surrounded the three Hatake Satoru. Indeed, as expected of Hatake-sama's children, they are truly talented. Although Hatake Satoru knew they were flattering, he also responded with a smile. After registering and coming out of the Ninja Academy, Hatake Satoru finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was not good at dealing with such scenes. Not only was he tired, but his facial expression was also tired. The assessment of the Ninja Academy was not a difficult task for the Hatake brothers at all. They passed it easily. The main thing was to examine how their physique was, and whether they could accept the training of the Ninja Academy. And some basics in ninjutsu and genjutsu. Most of them could easily pass, but there would also be some failures, such as those who only have taijutsu talent, but do not have ninjutsu and genjutsu talent. Just as they arrived at the academy gate, Hatake Satoru and the others ran into Might Due and his son standing at the gate. Seeing the two conspicuous outfits, Satoru immediately recognized who they were. After all, in this world of ninjas, there are only a few oddballs. Hello, nice to meet you. My sons will be under your care in academy in the future. Hatake Satoru took the initiative to greet the other party. After all, he knew the character of his two children very well. He was afraid that his children would not be popular in academy. So he, as a father, had to make an effort first. Father, Kakashi said helplessly, but Tsukumo ignored Kakashi and continued to smile and talk to the other party. Please get along well with them. No, I can't do that. At this time, Might Due directly answered. Hearing Might Due's direct refusal, Hatake Tsukumo's face immediately showed an incredulous expression. Why could this be a monster parent? Hatake Tsukumo immediately showed an exaggerated, embarrassed expression, and a few drops of cold sweat appeared on his face. No, father, you got it wrong. This guy didn't pass the ninja academy this time. Kakashi explained. I see, I'm really sorry because it's at the academy gate, so I jumped to conclusions. Hatake Tsukumo touched the back of his head and said somewhat awkwardly. Ha 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 ha. Might Due didn't mind at all and laughed. That's how it is. Is this funny? Kakashi said with his arms crossed. Hey Kakashi, that's rude. He immediately got a scolding from Hatake Tsukumo. Dad, you're even ruder. Speaking of which, this guy is determined to enter the ninja academy, but he can't use ninjutsu, no matter how you think about it. Kakashi didn't finish his words, but everyone knew what Kakashi wanted to express. Are you Hatake Kakashi? Just as Kakashi was about to leave with Tsukumo and Satoru, Might Guy suddenly spoke up. After all, Kakashi is already a genius boy now, and it's not strange for others to know his name. Kakashi turned his head back in confusion. He saw the other party giving him a thumbs up. His face didn't show any disappointment, but rather a look of happiness. Thanks for the support. Hearing this, Kakashi's expression became even more puzzled. Ha ha ha, you're really an interesting kid. At this moment, Hatake Satoru suddenly laughed, walked over to Might Guy, and patted him on the shoulder. This laugh immediately made Hatake Tsukumo and Kakashi puzzled, but the Might father and son were already used to it, because they had seen many people mocking them. I believe in you. You will definitely become a very excellent ninja in the future. However, Hatake Satoru's next words made Might Due and Might Guy stunned, and also softened Might Guy's heart, because this was the first person other than his father who recognized him. Really? Tears suddenly appeared in Might Guy's eyes, and Might Due's expression was also very gratified. Of course, Hatake Satoru nodded confidently. Thank you. I will definitely not let you down. Might Guy directly held Hatake Satoru's hand, bowed and said excitedly. For this person who recognized him besides his own father, Might Guy's heart was full of respect. Brother, you. Kakashi was puzzled in his heart. He couldn't figure out why his brother would say such a thing. In Kakashi's eyes, Might Guy was a waste who was good at nothing except taijutsu. Kakashi, what Satoru said is right. Hatake Tsukumo also spoke up. Don't be proud of being admitted as a ninja student. If you continue like this, that kid will be stronger than you. Kakashi noticed the serious expression on his father's face. Just him. But Kakashi obviously still didn't believe it. The list hasn't been announced yet, right? The Ninja Academy isn't stupid. Go ask his name. Tsukumo squatted down and touched Kakashi's head. Since his father had said so, Kakashi could only comply. Hey kid, what's your name? Hearing Kakashi's question, Might Guy let go of Hatake Satoru's hand. Then he struck a pose and showed a very confident expression. Might Guy, a man who will become stronger than anyone in the future. But this pose, this expression, this confidence in Kakashi's eyes still looked silly. All right, I remember, brother, father, let's go. Kakashi turned around indifferently, not knowing why. He suddenly felt a chill in his heart, as if he had encountered some kind of bad luck. After Hatake Tsukumo and Hatake Satoru said goodbye to the Might father and son, they also turned around and left. Guy, don't let the people who believe in you down. After the few people walked away, Might Due squatted down and touched Guy's head. Yes, I will definitely not let Satoru down. Now in Guy's heart, Hatake Satoru means absolutely extraordinary to him. Satoru, have you also noticed that guy's difference? After walking a distance, Tsukumo asked Satoru. Hearing this question, Kakashi, who was walking in front, also pricked up his ears to listen. His fists and feet all have scars left by training. His efforts are even 10 times more than Kakashi's. I guess in terms of taijutsu, Kakashi is not that guy's opponent. How is that possible? Kakashi immediately retorted. But neither Satoru nor Tsukumo paid any attention to him. If he can keep going like this, then he will definitely be a very excellent ninja in the future. Haha, as expected of my son. Your eyes are really sharp, Kakashi. You should learn from your brother in this regard. Sakumo rarely praised his eldest son. But in Kakashi's heart, he always didn't believe that the melon-headed guy was qualified to be his opponent. A few days after reporting, it was finally time for the Ninja Academy to start. This time, Hatake Sakumo did not send them. After all, Hatake Sakumo was still very busy. As a ninja with Kaga-level strength, there were many difficult tasks waiting for him to do. When he arrived in the classroom, Satoru found that there were many familiar faces. Although they might all be meeting for the first time, the classroom was indeed very lively. Children with different personalities gathered together. It would be strange if they could calm down, especially those naturally lively children, such as Uchiha Obito. This class really gathers the future backbone of Konohagakure village. Hatake Satoru thought in his heart. At present, Hatake Satoru saw Marino Ibiki, Shiranui Ginma, Ebisu, Sarutobi Asuma, and Kurinai, etc., who will all have a small reputation in Konohagakure village in the future. The arrival of Hatake Satoru and Hatake Kakashi immediately attracted the attention of all the students in the class. After all, Hatake Kakashi and Hatake Satoru are both handsome. Wow, so handsome. Our class actually has such handsome people. The girls' screams immediately echoed in the ears of the two brothers. And their arrival also attracted the vigilance of all the boys in the class. Originally, this class was a wolf with a lot of meat, and now two charming wolves have come. Many boys began to secretly glance at the girls they had a crush on, to see what kind of attitude they had towards these two brothers, such as Sarutobi Asuma or Uchiha Obito. Are you Hatake Kakashi? Obito suddenly rushed down from his position, stood in front of the two brothers, and pointed at Hatake Kakashi. In Konohagakure village, Kakashi's name is much more famous than Satoru's. After all, only Kakashi and Sakumo know about Satoru's talent. But most people in Konohagakure Ninja Village know about Kakashi's talent. I'll leave it to you, Kakashi. Satoru patted Kakashi on the shoulder, and then directly walked towards the last row of vacant seats. What's the matter? Kakashi said with a flat look. I am Uchiha Obito. I am here to challenge you. As he spoke, Obito extended his right thumb and pointed at himself, a confident expression on his face. I'm so handsome. Rin will definitely be attracted to me. This was Obito's inner thought at this moment. Boring, Kakashi said, then followed closely behind Hatake Satoru. Damn it, you jerk. Kakashi's indifferent attitude instantly ignited Obito's inner rage. Don't underestimate me. With that, Obito raised his fist and charged directly at Kakashi. And Kakashi seemed to have noticed the movement behind him. He turned his head, his hands directly grabbed the incoming fist, and with a direct shoulder throw, Obito instantly experienced the feeling of the world spinning. If it weren't for Kakashi's foot cushioning him, Obito's head would have hit the ground directly. Stop causing trouble. With that, Kakashi let go of Obito and sat down next to Satoru. That instant just now stunned everyone in the classroom. Although they had only heard that Kakashi was a genius, this was the first time they had seen Kakashi make a move. You should know that the one who made a move on Kakashi was a person from the Uchiha clan. In the cognition of most of them, there are no weak people in the Uchiha clan. All are geniuses. If it were me, I could do it too. At this time, Sarutobi Asuma also said a very arrogant sentence. As the son of the third Hokage, his limelight has been completely taken away by Kakashi, which makes him very upset. I don't accept it, Kakashi. Let's have another fight. After lying on the ground for a while, Obito, whose eyes were filled with confusion, suddenly stood up with a kip-up, pointing at Kakashi and saying angrily, No, you're too weak. What? Hearing the three words, too weak, Obito's eyes turned white with anger, and it seemed as if a raging fire was burning behind him. Afterwards, several students stood up and hurriedly pulled Obito back. All right, Obito, Kakashi is a genius. We are not his opponents. I don't believe it, Kakashi, if you dare, fight me again. Just as Obito wanted to continue making a fuss, the door of the teacher's office was directly opened, and a burly man with scars on his face walked to the front of the podium. Everyone be quiet. This sentence immediately quieted the classroom. There seemed to be a hint of killing intent in his voice, which unconsciously made people feel a bit of fear. Oh! Satoru let out a surprised sound. His eyes could see that the chakra inside this teacher was very strong, and the skin exposed outside was also clearly observed by Satoru. This teacher's strength is not weak, at least at the level of a special jonin. which is not comparable to the teachers of the Ninja Academy in Naruto's time. But thinking about it, Satoru also thought it was a very normal thing. After all, the Second Ninja World War had just ended not long ago. This person, who looked like he had just come down from the battlefield, carrying a killing intent, was also a very normal thing. Let me introduce myself first. If nothing unexpected happens, I will be your homeroom teacher in the Ninja Academy. My name is Asakawa Kosuka. I am a Jonin. Next, please start to introduce yourselves and get to know each other. As soon as his voice fell, Obito immediately raised his hand and stood up. Teacher, I'll go first. Okay, let's start with you. Asakawa Kosuka nodded. My name is Uchiha Obito. I like to eat ramen. My hobby is to help all those who need help. My dream is to become Hokage. However, this remark caused the whole class to burst into laughter. After all, becoming Hokage is an unreachable thing for 99% of ninjas. Their laughter seemed to be mocking Obito's overconfidence. What are you laughing at? I will definitely become Hokage to show you all, Obito said somewhat angrily. I believe in you, Obito. You can definitely do it. At this time, Rin, who was sitting next to Obito, said with a smile. Seeing Rin's smile, Obito instantly felt as if his heart had been healed. Don't worry, Rin, I will definitely not let you down. A brilliant smile also appeared on Obito's face. Quiet, what this student Obito said is very good. Even though his dream seems a bit out of reach. But if there is no dream, then you can only life as a lazy person. Hearing the teacher speaking for him, a proud expression instantly appeared on Obito's face. My name is Noara Rin. My dream is to become an excellent medical ninja like Tsunadesima in the future. And then, I hope to be with the person I like, forever and ever. When she said the last sentence, Noara Rin subtly glanced at Kakashi. Others might not have seen it, but under Hatake Satoru's 6 eyes, it was clearly visible. Could this be the legendary love at first sight? Hatake Satoru thought in his heart. He knew that before this, Kakashi had never seen Rin. My name is Sarutobi Asuma. I am the son of the 3rd Hokage. My dream is to become a Hokage like father. After finishing speaking, Sarutobi Asuma showed a smug expression on his face. That's amazing. He's actually the child of Hokage-sama. Suddenly, there were sounds of flattery in the classroom, and Asuma seemed to enjoy this feeling very much. In the end, only Hatake Kakashi and Hatake Satoru in the entire classroom had not introduced themselves. You go first, Satoru said to Kakashi. My name is Hatake Kakashi. My dream is to become an excellent ninja like my father. Hearing Kakashi's self-introduction, Asakawa Hiratsugu's eyes showed a look of appreciation. Indeed, as expected of Tsukumo-sama's child, he is really excellent. From this, it can be seen that Asakawa Kosuka respects Hatake Tsukumo very much. Although he also respects the 3rd Hokage very much, Kakashi's character is obviously more pleasing compared to Asuma. My name is Hatake Satoru. I like to eat sweets, I don't have any hobbies, and I don't have any goals. If I have to say what my dream is, it would be world peace. After saying that, Hatake Satoru showed a smile that didn't know what it meant. For some reason, at this moment, Asakawa Kosuka felt that Hatake Satoru would definitely be a very ordinary person. If it weren't for seeing the other party's eye-catching white hair, Asakawa Kosuka would doubt whether he was really Tsukumo-sama's biological son. Alright, all the self-introductions are over. Now let's start the class. The first lesson, we need to understand what chakra is, and how to extract chakra from the body. Hearing the content of this lesson, Hatake Satoru knew that this day would definitely be very boring, because whether it is him or Kakashi or some children with a background, their bodies have long had chakra, and they have long learned how to extract chakra. This is just a lesson for civilian children. Finally, the boring day is over. With this time studying in the Ninja Academy, it's better to train well at home. On the way home, Kakashi said to Satoru, I think so too. Satoru responded with a greeting. Humph, I think you, big brother, just want to go home and sleep. After all, it's tiring to sleep on the table. Ha ha ha, Kakashi, you really understand me. After Satoru finished speaking, both of them stopped at the same time because a familiar figure, Uchiha Obito, appeared in front of them. Kakashi, come and fight me. Obito pointed at Kakashi and said with an impassioned tone, I don't want to, boring, not interested, you're too weak. Kakashi blurted out all the excuses or reasons for refusal in one breath. Damn it, Obito said through gritted teeth suddenly. He turned his gaze to Satoru. You're Kakashi's older brother, right? Kakashi is afraid to be my opponent. So I want to challenge you. Uchiha Obito is not stupid. He has heard of Hatake Kakashi's name. But he never heard of Hatake Satoru. So he subconsciously thinks that Satoru's strength is not as good as Kakashi's. If he can defeat Satoru, Obito would consider it as avenging himself from this morning. Me. Satoru incredulously pointed at himself. He originally wanted to be a bystander, but he never thought that this fire would burn him. Yes, you. Seeing Satoru's expression, Obito was even more convinced of his judgment. This Hatake Satoru must not be his opponent. Idiot, Kakashi muttered under his breath. Well then, I'll play with you a little bit. You attack first, otherwise, I'm afraid I won't give you a chance once I make a move. Indeed, you're just like Kakashi, your personality is just as annoying. After saying that, Obito swung his fist and rushed towards Hatake Satoru. Kakashi also consciously made room, afraid of being accidentally injured. Left punch, left kick, right kick, but every time Satoru narrowly dodged it. This made Obito have the illusion that as long as he tried harder next time, he could attack Hatake Satoru. But soon, Obito was already sweating profusely, panting heavily. Do you just know how to dodge? Obito wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, I'm doing this just to let you hold on a little longer on my hand. To boost your confidence, Hatake Satoru said in a frivolous tone. I take back what I said earlier. Your personality is even worse than Kakashi's. Thank you for the compliment. Damn it. Hearing this, Obito became even angrier, and once again raised his fist and rushed towards Satoru. But this time he didn't dodge. With a pop, Obito's angry punch was easily caught by Hatake Satoru. It's so late, it's time to go home for dinner, so I won't play with you anymore. What? The next second, Obito felt his body soaring into the air, and then with a thud, he was directly thrown to the ground. Done, let's go Kakashi. You really have a bad taste, Kakashi said with a disdainful look in his eyes. Clearly, Hatake Satoru had the ability to deal with Obito in an instant, but he still spent so much time with him. Is that so? I think this can boost people's confidence. No, not at all. You're only making people feel more defeated. Satoru and Kakashi slowly walked away, leaving only Obito lying on the ground, looking at the sky, contemplating life, his expression looking somewhat dull. But he quickly came to his senses, quickly stood up, looked at the increasingly distant figures of Hatake Satoru and Hatake Kakashi, and shouted directly, Satoru Kakashi, I will definitely defeat you. Upon hearing this, Satoru's face revealed a smile. See, I told you, my way will make people more confident. You can learn more from me in the future. No thanks, I'm afraid of being beaten to death. He might just be an exception. In Kakashi's eyes, his older brother is a person who is fine except for his personality. But this terrible personality is really unbearable. In this way, a week of tedious academy life continued directly. Satoru had thought about skipping academy, but every time he didn't get up in the morning, he would be forcibly woken up by Kakashi. In order not to tarnish the name of the Hatake family, even at the risk of being beaten, Kakashi would forcibly take Satoru to academy. I don't want to go to academy, no matter what tomorrow. On the way home from academy, Hatake Satoru complained. He didn't want to go to academy in his previous life, and he didn't expect to have to go to academy in this life. Although the two lifetimes of academy learning are two different atmospheres, but no matter which lifetime of academy, you have to get up early, which is simply killing Hatake Satoru. That won't work. The reputation of the Hatake family cannot be ruined in the hands of my older brother, Kakashi said seriously. Although Kakashi is usually sarcastic and sometimes very dark, he is absolutely firm about his inner bottom line. The most important bottom line for Kakashi is the name of the Hatake family. Their father had worked hard to make the name of the Hatake family known, and Kakashi did not want this name to be ruined in the hands of their two brothers. Kakashi, who did you get this personality from? Father is not as rigid as you. To say who cares the least about the name Hatake, it can be said that it is Hatake Sakumo himself. What Hatake Sakumo cares most about is his own reputation. Humph, anyway, I won't allow my older brother to do anything that insults the name of the Hatake family. Don't forget, I am the older brother Kakashi. Satoru vigorously messed up Kakashi's hair. Kakashi wanted to break free from Satoru's hand, but Satoru's hand seemed to be fixed on his head. If you educate me like this next time, Don't blame me for not being polite to you, Kakashi. Then Satoru let go of his hand, and Kakashi also messed up his messy hair. However, a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes when he looked at Satoru. He felt that his brother's strength had become stronger. When the two of them got home, they both felt a familiar breath in the house. Kakashi's face instantly brightened because he knew that their father was back. But even though he was very happy in his heart, Kakashi's face instantly returned to calm, and he walked into the house in a pretentious manner. Satoru, Kakashi, welcome home. Hatake Satoru greeted the two brothers with a smile on his face. That's what we should say to you, father, Kakashi said. Is that so? To tell the truth, Hatake Satoru is also a bit naive, which seems to be a commonality of most strong people. Let's eat together. Dinner is already prepared for you. Yes, father. At the dinner table, the three of them talked about their experiences this week. Father, did the mission go smoothly? Of course, how about you too? How is your study at the Ninja Academy? How are your interpersonal relationships? Boring. Uninteresting. These were Kakashi and Satoru's responses. Is that so? I originally planned to let you two make some friends in the Ninja Academy. It seems that it's hard for me, as a father, to realize this wish. Hatake Satoru held his arms, closed his eyes, and tilted his head as if he was contemplating how to get his two children to make more friends. Soon, dinner was over, and Kakashi, as always, went to do the housework. Father, I want to learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu. At this moment, Hatake Satoru suddenly said to Satoru, the Shadow Clone Jutsu? This is a B-rank ninjutsu. It's not that easy to learn. But what do you want to learn this ninjutsu for? Hatake Satoru asked curiously. The Shadow Clone Jutsu is mostly a supportive ninjutsu, but according to his childhood thoughts, he should want to learn an attack-type ninjutsu, which is cool and convenient for flirting with girls. I just thought of using the Shadow Clone to replace me in Academy. Satoru answered truthfully. Is that so? Ha ha ha. My son's idea is indeed special. I can teach you, but I will only teach you once. If you can't learn it, you have to study obediently. Yes, father. But Hatake Satoru also noticed the confident smile on Satoru's face. You should know that Satoru has the 6 eyes. One of the abilities of the 6 eyes is to see through the opponent's technique and can directly track and predict the trajectory of the curse. But since he is in the world of Naruto, the 6 eyes are naturally assimilated with this world, can see through the opponent's ninjutsu, and can directly track and predict the trajectory of chakra. So now Satoru can directly see through the opponent's ninjutsu, how chakra flows in the body. Then I will demonstrate it to you once. After saying that, Hatake Satoru stood up, made a tiger seal, and a puff of smoke appeared next to Hatake Satoru. When the smoke dissipated, a person who looked exactly like Hatake Satoru appeared next to him. Satoru naturally watched everything that just happened seriously. This is the Shadow Clone Jutsu, a B-rank ninjutsu created by the second Hokage-sama. Although there is only one seal, the flow of chakra in the body is extremely complex. Hatake Satoru's Shadow Clone explained. The movement here naturally attracted Kakashi, who was washing dishes, and he also stopped his work and looked in their direction. If you can't learn it, it's okay. You can first learn the ordinary clone jutsu. No need, this should be very simple for me. After finishing speaking, Satoru also made a tiger seal. With a puff, the smoke dissipated, and a person who looked exactly like Hatake Satoru directly appeared in front of Hatake Satoru and Hatake Kakashi. Both of them were directly stunned by the appearance of this shadow clone. Is this a shadow clone? It's really amazing. Satoru stared at his own shadow clone and exclaimed. He could feel that his shadow clone also had the Rikugan. While Satoru was looking at his own shadow clone, the clone was also looking at the body. The two of them were doing exactly the same actions, as if they were looking in a mirror. Indeed, it's really amazing, Satoru. After being stunned for a while, Sakumo also came back to his senses from the surprise and dispelled his own shadow clone. Isn't this a very simple thing? Satoru also dispelled his own clone, speaking somewhat boastfully. As soon as these words came out, shadows immediately appeared on the foreheads of Hatake Satoru and Kakashi. Hatake Satoru now doubted whether such a boastful person was really his son. You should know that he is usually a very modest person. Hatake Satoru has also seen many geniuses, such as the now called Konoha core trio of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, and the now emerging civilian ninja Namake's Minato. But he believes that among these people, none of them could successfully learn the shadow clone technique after seeing it once. Hatake Satoru suddenly felt that he couldn't let his eldest son continue to be so lazy anymore. Otherwise, it would be a waste of his talent. The next morning, Hatake Satoru, as expected, used the shadow clone to go to academy, making Kakashi on the side very depressed. It's good to be the original body, sleeping in at home, not having to go to academy myself. It's really hard for me, this shadow clone, Satoru said painfully on the side, but the more the other party said this, the more uncomfortable Kakashi felt. After seeing Satoru succeed in one go, it also aroused Kakashi's competitive spirit, and also asked his father for the training experience of the shadow clone. And then Kakashi tried it with full confidence, but the result was far from Satoru. Kakashi's shadow clone can't be said to be a failure. After all, it can also have normal thinking, can also act normally, and also has chakra in the body, but it definitely can't be said to be successful, because the shadow clone that Kakashi split out is black and white. And Satoru's original body woke up when the shadow clone and Kakashi went to academy. If Kakashi knew that Satoru woke up so early, he would definitely be shocked. At this time, Hatake Satoru was standing in the training ground of the Hatake family, sweating profusely, panting heavily. Blue is really hard to master. Curse Technique Lapse Blue is a common attack method of Gojo Satoru, which shows the attraction centered on blue. The maximum output can reach negative infinity, similar to a small black hole. And blue also has many derivative uses, such as instant movement and high-speed movement. But Satoru has not thought about that for the time being, because he has not fully mastered blue yet. Because there is no curse power in this world, Curse Technique Lapse Blue has also become Ninjutsu Blue. Although Satoru's chakra in his body is not very much now, but with Rikugan and Limitless Technique, when he uses Curse Technique Lapse or Ninjutsu, the consumption is infinitely close to zero. That is to say, even when using ninjutsu, Satoru also consumes chakra, but the amount of chakra consumed can be ignored. But what makes Satoru feel fortunate is that the infinity technique does not need him to learn, but is directly inherited into his brain. But he has not yet developed the limitless technique into a passive one like Gojo Satoru. And now Satoru still needs to actively use it. The so-called limitless technique is able to interfere with matter at the atomic level, thereby achieving the effect of dominating space. The principle is that the distance between two organisms can be infinitely shortened to 1/10, 1%, 1,000th, 1/10,000th. And the limitless technique is to realize this theory in real space. To put it simply, it's the real absolute defense. No matter how close your attack is to me, you just can't touch me. Of course, the inexhaustible consumption of chakra also belongs to this principle. But in this world, the strength of ninjutsu is absolutely related to the amount of chakra consumed. At present, Satoru's total amount of chakra is there. Although when he uses blue, the consumption is almost zero, but the power of blue used cannot exceed the chakra he currently has in his body. This also leads to Hatake Satoru being able to continuously practice ninjutsu, but without mastering the reverse technique, his body will still feel very tired. At this time, the training ground of the Hatake family is already pitted, all caused by Satoru's ninjutsu blue. Let's practice ninjutsu up to here today. Satoru leaned against a tree to rest. Although there was still a lot of chakra in his body, his physical condition no longer allowed him to continue practicing. After resting, Satoru began to practice taijutsu. You should know that Gojo Satoru in the Jujutsu Kaisen world is not only top-notch in one aspect, even his taijutsu is above the ceiling. As for why Satoru always maintains a salty fish appearance in front of Kakashi, that's because when Kakashi can't see, his practice is really too tiring. Satoru didn't deliberately hide anything, but it happened that every time he practiced, neither Kakashi nor Tsukumo were there. This is also why Satoru can crush Kakashi. He has never neglected his own training. At this time, there is still a trace of urgency in Satoru's heart, because he has not yet mastered the reverse curse technique. Only after mastering the reverse curse technique can he be truly invincible. By then, he will be able to automatically unfold the limitless technique, which is the absolute defense neutral limitless. Infinity. Is this your ability? Satoru. Just then, a voice suddenly entered Satoru's ears, instantly alerting Satoru's heart. Looking in the direction where the sound came from, He saw Hatake Satoru standing on a tree at some point. "Father," Satoru said in surprise, "he has Rikugan, and he didn't realize when his father came." "Don't be surprised, I just arrived." Hearing this, Satoru breathed a sigh of relief. He thought his Rikugan had failed. You should know that he, who has Rikugan, has a 360 degrees ultra-long distance vision, and can also find out from behind, no matter how deep the other party hides. Whether there is chakra in the body can be discovered by him. Sakumo was not discovered by Satoru, which means Sakumo just arrived using the body flicker technique. "Is this the ninjutsu that your eyes carry naturally?" Hatake Satoru teleported to Satoru's front, staring at Satoru's eyes seriously. When practicing blue, Satoru had already taken off his sunglasses. "Yes, father." For Sakumo, Satoru has no need to lie. After all, he is one of the only two people in this world who will not harm him. The other one is naturally Kakashi. "From the day you were born, I knew your eyes were extraordinary. I didn't expect that you even carried such a terrifying ninjutsu. It seems that it can be used unlimitedly." Looking at the pitted training ground, Hatake Sakumo's heart was somewhat shocked. You should know that this kind of damage is definitely not something a child who has not graduated from the Ninja Academy can do. You could say that, just by relying on this ninjutsu, you have more than enough to become a chunin. The Ninja Academy really has no use for you. Geniuses are always lonely, especially Satoru. There are very few people who can become friends with him. What do you think? Let's keep the clone in the Ninja Academy. Before becoming invincible, showing too terrifying talent is too dangerous for me. Good. A cautious character is good. But it's hard to be invincible. Even I dare not say that I am invincible. As he said this, Hatake Satoru laughed. But I will definitely be invincible in the future. A confident smile appeared on Satoru's face. Hearing Satoru say this, Sakumo's expression was slightly stunned. "Ha ha ha, you are indeed my son. Don't worry, before you become invincible, Dad will definitely protect you." Sakumo patted Satoru on the shoulder and laughed. Authors note Satoru's ability is very complex, especially the limitless technique. Neutral limitless. Infinity belongs to the limitless technique, and the consumption of curse power close to zero also belongs to the limitless technique. Some people say that when Satoru uses the curse technique, the consumption of curse power is close to zero, and some people say that when using the curse technique, the waste of excess curse power is close to zero. The first one explains that Satoru's curse power will never be exhausted, and the second one says that Satoru will also have a time when the curse power is exhausted. After all, Okatsu said that Satoru's curse power will not be exhausted, and he can open several domains a day, which is enough to explain that it should be the first situation, and I also prefer the first one. And according to the setting of invincibility, the first situation is more in line. When Kakashi finished Academy, Satoru's shadow clone was also lifted, which let Satoru know that a new student had arrived in the class today, and it was Might Guy who hadn't even passed the Academy assessment. When Guy saw Hatake Satoru, he immediately showed an excited look, holding Satoru's hands unwilling to let go, as if looking at his benefactor. And for Kakashi, Guy was the same as in the original, challenging Kakashi on the first day, but the result was very obvious. The current Guy is definitely not the opponent of the genius Kakashi. The troublesome guys in the class are really one after another. After Kakashi returned home, he complained to Satoru's real body. Although the shadow clone is also Satoru, Kakashi knows that when the shadow clone is lifted, the body will also get all the memories of the shadow clone. But Kakashi always has a gap with Satoru's shadow clone. After all, why should he go to Academy with the body while the other party is a shadow clone? That's not bad. In this way, Kakashi, you can make many friends in Academy. Why don't you make friends in Academy? Kakashi directly retorted, staring at those dead fish eyes, staring at Satoru. Because I am a genius. How can a genius possibly mix with you ordinary people? Ha ha. Seeing Satoru sitting there and laughing arrogantly, Kakashi just wanted to press Satoru directly on the ground and hammer him hard. This is the first time Kakashi has been called ordinary since he was born. Although he doesn't care about the title of genius, he definitely has nothing to do with ordinary. "Oh, are you sure? You know, you've never beaten me. The winner this time will definitely be me, because I have become stronger. Is that so? Then let me see how capable my little brother, who is known as a genius." With that said, The two walked into the courtyard of the Hatake house, standing opposite each other. Satoru had a relatively relaxed expression, while Kakashi's face was very serious. "Show me some real skills in our fight, or else I'll be very bored." "I understand." Then, Kakashi took out several shuriken with his left hand and a kunai with his right hand. The shuriken flew directly towards Satoru with precision. "You really aren't holding back at all." Satoru tilted his head and sidestepped, dodging all of Kakashi's shuriken attacks. But in the next second, Kakashi, holding the kunai, was already in front of Satoru. Without any hesitation, he struck directly at Satoru's vital points. "You really aren't showing any mercy, Kakashi. You're not a cute little brother at all." Satoru's right arm directly collided with Kakashi's right arm, blocking Kakashi's next move. "After all, your personality is quite annoying." Kakashi's right hand suddenly loosened, and the falling kunai was caught by Kakashi's left hand, which made a direct upward swipe. Although Satoru had already reacted, he did not completely avoid Kakashi's attack. His clothes were cut open by Kakashi's sharp kunai. Seeing the cut on his clothes, Satoru's expression became a bit more serious. "Kakashi, your fighting skills are pretty good. After all, I'm not like you, big brother. I'm training hard every moment. Be a little more serious, big brother, or else if you get hurt, I won't take responsibility. Then you better be careful, Kakashi." With that, Satoru's figure rushed towards Kakashi at a very fast speed. So fast, Kakashi's eyes were full of shock. In the next second, Satoru had already appeared in front of Kakashi, swinging a punch directly. Although Kakashi had already protected his chest with both hands and was in a defensive posture, but the terrifying force still sent Kakashi's body flying backwards. However, Satoru's attack was not over. In the next second, Satoru had already jumped into the air. For Kakashi, who was still flying backwards, he lifted his leg and chopped down. Kakashi widened his eyes and immediately made a seal. With a bang, Kakashi was directly chopped to the ground by Satoru's kick. But from the feeling transmitted from his leg, Satoru knew that Kakashi had avoided his attack. The Kakashi who should have been chopped by Satoru turned into a pile of broken wood, and Kakashi's figure appeared not far from Satoru. Kakashi had used the substitution technique among the 3 body techniques to avoid Satoru's attack. When Kakashi made the seal, Satoru's Rikugan had already noticed it. "Do you want to kill me? You bastard." Kakashi gritted his teeth and said, no longer calling him big brother. "How could it be? How could I possibly hurt my cute little brother so badly?" Satoru showed an innocent smile. But when Kakashi saw the pile of broken wood, his eyelids unconsciously twitched. Obviously, what Satoru had just said was not convincing at all. "Do you want to continue, Kakashi?" "Of course, I haven't lost yet." After saying that, Kakashi took a kunai in each hand and once again used a snake-like maneuver to rush towards Satoru. The 2 kunai in Kakashi's hands were flicking up, down, left, and right, but each time they were easily dodged by Satoru's sidestep and retreat. "It's useless, Kakashi. In front of my eyes, all your attacks have been seen through." "Humph. Is it a power similar to the Sharingan? It's really annoying," Kakashi said with a somewhat disgusted tone. He really hated Satoru's eyes, or rather, he was annoyed because of jealousy. After all, he and Satoru are brothers. Why does Satoru have those special eyes and he doesn't? Why does Satoru have such high talent and he doesn't? So to tell the truth, there is a bit of jealousy in Kakashi's heart towards Satoru. But I won't give up. Kakashi's attacks were getting faster and faster. So fast that even Satoru was struggling to dodge them now, as expected of Kakashi. But if I, as an older brother, surpassed by my younger brother, I would be very embarrassed. After saying that, Satoru's figure disappeared directly in front of Kakashi. Body flicker technique? Kakashi widened his eyes in shock. But in the next second, Kakashi felt that he was being choked. "You lost, Kakashi." Satoru's voice rang in Kakashi's ear. If this were a life-and-death battle, then Kakashi would have been killed by Satoru. Then, a trace of loss appeared in Kakashi's eyes. He lost to his brother again. Just as Satoru was about to comfort him, Kakashi had already adjusted his state. "I will definitely defeat you next time." "Okay, then I'll wait for you." Satoru laughed. "But what was that just now?" "Body flicker technique." Kakashi asked the doubt in his heart. The body flicker technique is a high-level 3-body technique, and he doesn't remember when Satoru learned it. Yes, it's the body flicker technique. This is what Satoru learned from Hatake Satoru this afternoon. The body flicker technique mainly requires precise control of chakra, which is very simple for Satoru, who has Rikugan. So just by looking at it once, Satoru had already memorized it. Just like that, half a year passed in a blink of an eye. Everyone in the Ninja Academy, including the teachers, didn't realize that during this half year, the one attending classes in the Ninja Academy was always Satoru's shadow clone. And today, something special happened in the Ninja Academy. So this time, Satoru didn't use a shadow clone to go to Academy, but went to Academy in person. This is entirely because Kakashi's early graduation application has been approved today. Today is Kakashi's graduation assessment. If he passes this assessment, then Kakashi will become a true genin. At this moment, there were already a bunch of students standing on the playground of the Ninja Academy. After all, Kakashi was the first one to take the graduation assessment just half a year after starting Academy. In the past, there were geniuses in the Ninja Academy, but there has never been a genius like Kakashi. You could say that Kakashi is the first in history. Is today the day of Tsukumo's child's graduation assessment? In the Hokage office building, the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, is looking at the crystal ball in front of him, which is reflecting the scene of the Ninja Academy. Not long ago, he personally approved Hatake Kakashi's early graduation assessment. Yes, Hokage-sama. How is Tsukumo's eldest son, Hatake Satoru, performing? Sarutobi Hiruzen continued to ask. From the observation of the Ninja Academy, his performance is quite mediocre. But this does not rule out the possibility that he is hiding his talents. Is that so? After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen enlarged the image of Hatake Satoru, as if he wanted to observe Hatake Satoru carefully. And in the Ninja Academy, Hatake Satoru, as if sensing something, looked up. It was this look that surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen. Did this kid discover it? Or is it a coincidence? Although Hatake Satoru was wearing sunglasses, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that the other party had seen him through his ninjutsu. The third Hokage, Hatake Satoru, lowered his head, his expression somewhat solemn. He knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen had a ninjutsu that could observe the entire Konohagakure village, so he didn't know if his strength had been exposed. But there was no time for Satoru to think more. Kakashi's assessment had already begun. Next, we will conduct Hatake Kakashi's graduation assessment. Since it is early graduation, the difficulty of the assessment will be more difficult than the normal graduation assessment. So before the assessment, I want to confirm once again, Hatake Kakashi, are you sure you want to take the graduation assessment in advance? Asakawa Kosuke said seriously. I'm sure. Kakashi also nodded seriously. So handsome. Seeing Kakashi's appearance, a group of infatuated girls immediately shouted, Kakashi, you must succeed. Rin also clenched her fists and silently prayed for Kakashi in her heart. And seeing Rin's appearance, Obito couldn't help but feel jealous of Kakashi. Kakashi, if you fail, I will definitely not let you go. Obito waved his hands and cheered for Kakashi. Now Obito and Kakashi have a faint bond because of Rin. Kakashi, as my lifelong opponent, I also won't allow you to fail. Guy also cheered for Kakashi. Hey Satoru, Kakashi has already surpassed you. Don't you feel ashamed as his older brother? Asuma nudged Satoru with his elbow and said, Asuma. Kurenai said softly next to Asuma. Her tone seemed a bit reproachful. She felt that Asuma's words would make Satoru feel embarrassed. Of course not, after all, Kakashi is my little brother. The better he is, the happier I am. Hearing Satoru's answer, both Asuma and Kurenai were slightly stunned. They didn't expect Satoru to think so openly, and they thought Satoru was very big-hearted. Then, Asakawa Kosuke directly announced the content of Kakashi's graduation assessment. All right, since you are ready, your next assessment is to withstand 10 moves from a Chunin. If you can do this, you will be able to graduate smoothly from the Ninja Academy and become a genin. As soon as Asakawa Kosuke's words fell, there was an uproar among the students. Isn't this assessment a bit too difficult? Asuma said with a frown. You know, they are not even genin now, and they are fighting with a Chunin. They have no chance of winning at all. Although some of them have individual strengths that have reached the level of genin, there is still a big difference between them and Chunin. However, Asuma then noticed the smile on Satoru's face. Are you happy that Kakashi can't pass the assessment? Asuma asked directly. If this is the case, Asuma would think that Satoru is too hypocritical. After all, if Asuma's guess is true, Then Satoru just said something against his heart in front of him and Kurenai. No, I just think that this assessment is too simple for Kakashi. If he were to defeat a Chunin, it might be a bit difficult for Kakashi, but just to withstand 10 moves, it's not a problem. Hearing this, both Asuma and Kurenai frowned. Are you so confident in Kakashi? Of course, because he is my little brother, Satoru said with a smile. In this half year, Satoru would fight with Kakashi once or twice almost every month. Although the result of each time was Satoru's victory, Kakashi's progress in this half year was definitely not small. Perhaps there is still a big gap between Satoru and Kakashi, but for other peers, Kakashi has already left them far behind. At this time, a ninja with a forehead protector walked to the opposite side of Kakashi. Looking at the other's face, he seemed to be only about 11 or 12 years old. You are that genius Hatake Kakashi, right? Although I just became a Chunin this year, I am definitely not someone a brat like you can deal with. If you don't want to get beaten up, you better surrender. The other side started talking to Kakashi as soon as he came up, and there was a bit of mockery in his tone. Hearing this, Kakashi frowned slightly, and Satoru below spoke again. It seems that Kakashi should be able to defeat him in this assessment. Really? Even if the other party is not old, he is still a Chunin. Asuma doubted. If it's a Chunin who is older and has more experience, Kakashi might not have a chance to win. But the other party is just a kid. But hearing this, Asuma, Kurenai, and a few people around all showed a somewhat awkward expression. You are much younger than the kid you mentioned, Asuma muttered to himself. If I were you, I will obediently raise my hand to admit defeat first. Kakashi retorted without courtesy, but Kakashi's words shocked everyone present. The other party's arrogance was somewhat understandable. After all, he was a Chunin. But what capital did Kakashi have to be arrogant in front of a Chunin? Good, very good. Hearing this, the other party gritted his teeth and said 3 good words. The angry emotion had already surfaced. Kakashi, Noara Rin said with some worry. Provoking the other party in this situation is really unwise. Sarutobi Asuma said with a frown. Hey Kakashi, you must not lose. Guy and Obito cheered for Kakashi at the same time. Now that both sides are ready, let's start this assessment. With Asakawa Kosuka's command, Kakashi and the other party rushed towards each other at the same time. The two collided in an instant, both holding a kunai in their hands. The kunai directly rubbed against each other and sparked. In the next second, both of them retreated at the same time. So strong. The students of the Ninja Academy, who were watching, all exclaimed. Of course, this exclamation was all for Kakashi. Just now, in their eyes, they only felt that the figures of the two people flashed, and then they collided. Then the figures flashed again, and the two had already passed by each other. Not bad, as expected the son of the White Fang. The rest of the Chunin, and the teachers of the academy also looked at Kakashi with appreciative eyes. The expressions on their faces were very gratified, as if Kakashi was their own child. Almost all ninjas over the age of 15 have experienced the Second Ninja War and have come from the battlefield. Therefore, for Hatake Satoru, who made a huge contribution to Konohagakure in the Second Ninja World War, they all truly respect him from the bottom of their hearts. The Second Ninja World War suddenly made Konohagakure the strongest of the 5 major ninja villages. First, there was the great display of power by the White Fang of Konohagakure, and then the Konohagakure Sannin, who were given the title by the demigod salamander Hanzo, appeared. When they were in the Ninja Academy, it was not that Kakashi had not been arranged to practice with other students, but most of the opponents were solved by Kakashi in one move. Even Asuma, who was considered a genius in the previous session, could not hold on for 3 rounds against Kakashi. Indeed, he is a genius. His speed is really not slow. The collision just now let the other party know that although Kakashi's strength is not as good as his speed is almost the same. He can't imagine that this is the strength that a 5-year-old child can have. There's no time for you to be stunned now. A round had already passed just now, and Kakashi's voice rang out, along with the sound of several shuriken flying out of Kakashi. Hearing this, the other party immediately came back to his senses, raised the kunai in his hand, and pop, pop, pop flew all the shuriken that Kakashi had shot. Although Kakashi's shuriken score is very good, it can be said to be 100 shots. But after all, it is not like the Uchiha shuriken technique. There is no dead angle. This time, the other party became completely serious and did not treat Kakashi as a child at all, but as an opponent of the same level. I take back my previous words of contempt for you, so I'm going to be serious next. I couldn't ask for more. Kakashi's eyes became sharper. The two competed in taijutsu on the playground, and the teachers around nodded frequently. They could see that although Kakashi was not superior in strength, his speed was not bad, and in terms of taijutsu skills, Kakashi was even better. If a long-term taijutsu competition is conducted, Kakashi may lose. But don't forget, the goal of this assessment is to withstand 10 rounds in the hands of the other party. Now 5 rounds have passed, but Kakashi's state seems to have never started the battle, and his breathing is not chaotic at all. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Seeing that he couldn't take down Kakashi for a long time, the opponent used the Shadow Clone Jutsu, planning to fight 2 against 1. That's too despicable, even using shadow clones. This action naturally aroused Guy's emotions. The opponent was already a Chunin, and he still used this 2-on-1 ninjutsu, which was really bullying. Seeing the opponent use the shadow clone, Kakashi took a deep breath. He can naturally also use the shadow clone technique now, but his current chakra is not very much, and it is impossible to waste half of the chakra on the shadow clone. Be careful, Hatake Kakashi. The opponent kindly reminded him, and then rushed towards Kakashi from 2 different directions. The two who were evenly matched just now, Kakashi suddenly fell into a disadvantage. After only 2 rounds of confrontation with the opponent, Kakashi fell into a disadvantage. No, it can't go on like this. At least the opponent's shadow clone must be solved first. Although ordinary people's eyes can't distinguish between shadow clones and the body, the opponent only used 1 clone, and that clone has always been in Kakashi's line of sight. So as long as he keeps locking the opponent, it will be fine. Once again, he took out several shuriken from the ninja bag and threw them at the opponent. But while the shuriken was flying in midair, Kakashi's hands quickly made seals. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. In an instant, the original shuriken directly doubled. What? The shadow clone was stunned. If there were only a few shuriken, he could still defend, but with more than a dozen shuriken, he had no place to hide, and could only watch as the shuriken pierced him. Sure enough, he has mastered even the Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. He is indeed a genius. The teachers who were watching praised. This ninjutsu, even some of their teachers, may not all have mastered it. Although the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique does not have any attribute attacks, it is a genuine A-level ninjutsu. This ninjutsu does not require a lot of chakra, but it tests the control of chakra. You lost. At this moment, the opponent's voice suddenly rang in Kakashi's ear, and his kunai was already stuck on Kakashi's neck. It's a pity, just 1 round short. Is that so? As soon as the words fell, Kakashi's body suddenly emitted a puff of smoke, and then turned into a piece of wood. Substitution jutsu. When everyone was surprised, they didn't notice when Kakashi used the substitution jutsu. Where is the real body? The opponent quickly looked around, trying to find Kakashi's figure, but there was no discovery at all. Hey, where did Kakashi go? Obito's head swayed from side to side, and then suddenly shouted, Earth Release Decapitation Jutsu. At this moment, Kakashi's voice suddenly came from under his feet. Not good. He knew what Kakashi wanted to do, but it was too late. His foot had been grasped by Kakashi's hand that stretched out from the ground, and then he felt a huge force coming from the ground, directly pulling him down. When he came back to his senses, only his head was still on the ground, and below his neck, he had completely sunk into the soil. It's you who lost. This time it was Kakashi's turn to hold the kunai against the opponent. I lost. The opponent's face showed a helpless expression. He lost, and he was convinced. Kakashi passed the test. With the end of Asakawa Kosuka's announcement, the entire Ninja Academy was filled with cheers, and only the Chunin who was responsible for Kakashi's assessment left the field in despair. Congratulations, Kakashi. Noara Rin walked up and said shyly. Thank you. Kakashi answered indifferently. Kakashi, I will also become a genin soon, and then surpass you. Obito pointed at Kakashi and said loudly. You should strive to pass all subjects first, loser. Kakashi looked at Obito with a slanting eye. Damn it, Kakashi, I want to duel with you. Being mocked by Kakashi like this, Obito was instantly angry. Even his eyes had turned white, just like a person from the Hyuga family. But the impulsive Obito was stopped by several other classmates. Obito, forget it. Kakashi is already a genin now. You are not his opponent. Yeah, Obito, just give up. You and Kakashi are people from two different worlds. These words made Obito's heart more and more uncomfortable. Damn it, when my Sharingan opens, I will definitely surpass Kakashi. Well, then you work hard. At this time, Guy also walked to Kakashi and congratulated. Congratulations, Kakashi, but I'm sure I won't be far behind. The next time we meet, I will definitely catch up with you. Okay, then work hard. For this opponent designated by his brother and father, Kakashi has not yet found any special features from him. If Obito is the last one in the class, then Guy is the second to last in the class. Of course, sometimes the rankings of these two will also be exchanged. But these two tailenders both regard the excellent student Kakashi as their target. This looks somewhat ridiculous in the eyes of others. But only the two of them know how hard they are chasing this goal. Cough, quiet. At this time, the voice of Asakawa Kosuke-sensei rang again. The graduation assessment is not over yet. In addition to Kakashi, there is another person who has applied for early graduation. What? There are others? Who is it? Obito immediately asked loudly, asking the doubts in everyone's hearts. Hatake Satoru, the next graduation assessment is for you. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes instantly looked at Hatake Satoru, including Kakashi. From his shocked eyes, it was obvious that he didn't know about this. Not only was Kakashi stunned, but even Satoru himself was a bit stunned. Is it me? Satoru pointed at himself incredulously and asked. Yes, your early graduation assessment was personally applied by your father, Hatake Sakumo. Applied by my father? Hatake Satoru wondered. His father had never told him about this. Of course, you can also refuse. Forget it, since my father has already applied. Then I will become a genin with Kakashi. Satoru stretched his body and said indifferently. He quickly accepted this reality. Hey Satoru, are you okay? Asuma asked seriously. Satoru can be said to be the most mysterious student in their class. All cultural courses are full marks, but every time it comes to practical classes, Satoru will abstain, so no one knows what Satoru's strength is. Is Satoru also going to take the assessment? He must be able to become a genin, Guy said excitedly, looking at him. He had full confidence in Satoru. Not for any reason, just because Satoru was the first outsider to recognize him. Damn, this guy is going to take the assessment too? Obito said with a face of disbelief. Since being taught a lesson by Hatake Satoru, he has more or less an understanding of Satoru's strength. Don't worry. Satoru showed a confident smile on his face and said to Asuma. Kakashi didn't say anything. If anyone in this group knows Satoru's strength best, it must be him. Satoru can't fail the assessment. Having said that, Kakashi walked to the center of the playground. Your assessment content is the same as Kakashi's, which is to withstand a Chunin's move. Is there a problem? Of course. Seeing Hatake Satoru so confident, Asakawa Kosuke still reminded him a little. Let me remind you that your opponent this time is not ordinary. Oh, this suddenly made Satoru interested. If his opponent is the same as Kakashi's opponent, it would be too boring. Then let's start quickly. I can't wait. Okay. At this time, a figure slowly walked to Satoru's front. When the opponent appeared, the students of the Ninja Academy let out a surprised voice. Although they didn't know who this Chunin was, they recognized the symbol on the back of his clothes, the Uchiha fan, the Uchiha family. Hey, Obito, it's someone from your family. Do you know who it is? A little friend next to Obito bumped Obito and said, I don't know. Obito shook his head. There are many ninjas in the Uchiha clan. If they are some Jonin, he can almost recognize them, but just a Chunin, Obito really doesn't know. After all, there are a lot of Chunin in the Uchiha clan. Oh, it's a person from the Uchiha clan? It's Interzing. Although Satoru said so, Asakawa Kosuke, who heard his words clearly into his ears next to Satoru, did not see a trace of tension on Satoru's face, but was filled with strong confidence. Confidence seems to be innate to Satoru. Asakawa Kosuke has never found that the confidence on Satoru's face disappears. Surrender. Even though you are Hatake Sakumo's son, I will definitely not show mercy to you, the other party said coldly. Just like Satoru's confidence is innate, the pride of the Uchiha clan is also innate. Although Hatake Sakumo's strength is very strong, the Uchiha clan is not worse than Hatake Sakumo, and in terms of numbers, Hatake Sakumo only has one person, and they have a clan of people. Isn't that just right? I also want to see how the strength of the Uchiha clan, that does not show mercy is. If you are killed by me in seconds, then you will be embarrassed. Kill me in seconds? A trace of mockery suddenly appeared on the other party's face. You will regret saying this. In the next second, the expression on the other party's face changed instantly, becoming very cold. And Satoru could also feel a trace of murderous aura from the other party's body. Obviously, the other party had been on the battlefield or killed people. Compared with the Chunin who fought with Kakashi just now, it is not a level at all. Really? I'd love to see what my regret looks like, Satoru said with a smile, as if his face would never lose its smile. All right, Satoru, stop talking. The assessment officially begins now. Asakawa Kosuke spoke at this moment. He was genuinely afraid that Satoru would provoke the other party. If that happened, Satoru would inevitably suffer. After all, he didn't think Satoru was a match for the other party. He also didn't understand why Hokage-sama would arrange for someone from the Uchiha clan to conduct the assessment. Normally, the examiners for ninjas who graduate early due to their exceptional abilities are all genin. Only the more talented the ninja, the stronger the examiner. You make the first move, or else I'm afraid you won't have a chance to fight back later. Well then, thank you. In the next instant, Satoru's body appeared in front of him like a ghost. Just a moment ago, there was a distance of several meters between them. But now he was right in front of him. So fast, whether it was the Uchiha Chunin in charge of the assessment or the teachers and other students watching the battle, they all thought the same two words. Is this Satoru's real strength? Asuma said in shock on the side. The speed just now was much faster than when Kakashi was fighting. No, this is just a part of what he shows. His real strength is far beyond this. Kakashi stood where Satoru had been standing, his expression serious. Stronger than you? Asuma glanced at Kakashi. You know, he doesn't have the ability to hold on for 3 rounds in Kakashi's hands now. As long as I can remember, I've never won a fight against him. This remark made the people around him gasp. Kakashi can be said to be the most talented person in the history of Konohagakure Ninja Academy, and such a person has never won against Satoru. This shows how strong Satoru is. When Satoru punched, the other party's 2 hands also reacted very quickly to protect his chest, blocking Satoru's punch. However, due to the hasty action, he was still knocked a few meters away by Satoru's force, but a backflip stabilized his figure. Unknown Uchiha, if you continue to underestimate me like this, you will have to pay the price. Satoru didn't take advantage of the victory, but stood in place and slowly said, Good, very good. I admit that I underestimated you just now, but you won't have another chance to hit me. After saying that, the other party took out a few shurikens and threw them directly at Satoru. In midair, the shurikens collided and directly changed the trajectory of several shurikens, causing shurikens to appear all around Satoru, leaving him no chance to dodge. Tisk, is this the only trick you know? Satoru can also use the shuriken technique. After all, his Rikugan is not just for show, but he just doesn't bother to use it. After all, shuriken can be said to be the least damaging ninja tool. Unless the speed of the shuriken is raised to the extreme, it may cause a lot of damage. Satoru also took out a few shurikens, didn't even look, and directly threw them in all directions. Only heard pop, pop, pop. Several sounds, all the shurikens shot at Satoru, were all knocked down in midair by Satoru. Show some real skills. These little tricks have no effect on me. All right, then let me show you the true power of our Uchiha clan. With that, his eyes suddenly turned blood red, and 2 tomo appeared. Sharingan. Satoru's eyebrows furrowed slightly behind his sunglasses. This was his first time seeing the Sharingan. It indeed has an ominous aura. Satoru sighed. This aura was like a curse, making people very uncomfortable. Kakashi, see? This is our Uchiha clan's Sharingan. Once I awaken it, I will definitely be able to defeat you. Tisk, let's talk about it after you awaken it. But the next second, Kakashi focused all his attention on the battle. Although he believed in his brother's strength, the Sharingan was indeed a very powerful Kekkei Genkai. In a one-on-one fight, unless it's an elite ninja, only few people can beat a member of the Uchiha clan. Let me show you the power of our Uchiha clan's Sharingan. I'll give you another chance. Attack me. Puffed. Hearing him say that again, Hatake Satoru couldn't help but laugh. It seems you really don't learn your lesson. If that's the case, then Duke can't blame me. With that, Satoru clenched his fist and rushed up, punching directly at his face, but the other party sidestepped and easily dodged it. Then, Satoru made a few more moves, but they were all dodged by the other party. It's useless. In front of my eyes, all your attacks are seen through. The other party spoke coldly and confidently. It is indeed a bit troublesome. Satoru nodded, seemingly agreeing with what he said. Well then, let's make some attacks that you can't dodge even if you see through them. Satoru warmed up his body, as if he was doing a pre-intense workout. Well, I'm going to start. As soon as Satoru finished speaking, his figure disappeared. At this moment, the other party's Sharingan pupils contracted. He found that his eyes couldn't see the other party's movements at all. I'm here. Suddenly, Satoru's voice sounded behind him. His movements were like an instinctive reaction, quickly turning around to find that Satoru was already standing in front of him, punching directly at his abdomen. Just now, he saw Satoru's punch clearly, but Satoru's speed was too fast. His body couldn't react in time. Even if he saw Satoru's movements clearly, he couldn't dodge it. If I had used a kunai just now, you would have been dead. This sentence made the Uchiha's face very ugly. Indeed, if Satoru had used a kunai just now, he would have been lying down by now. But how could he swallow this breath? You won't have another chance. The other party frowned, sounding somewhat angry. I've heard that once before. Satoru picked at his ear. I hope I don't hear it a third time from your mouth. Satoru's personality is still so annoying. Asuma said somewhat speechlessly. That sentence was like rubbing salt in the other party's wound. Kakashi, I really don't know how you can stand having such a brother. Originally, when they first met him, they all felt quite sorry for Satoru. After all, having such a talented younger brother, Satoru must have felt very uncomfortable. But now it seems that the one who deserves sympathy is Kakashi. Having such a nasty brother, they simply can't imagine what Kakashi's daily life is like. Wait and see, kid. This time, the Uchiha clan's examiner didn't dare to be careless at all. This time, he decided to take the initiative to attack, quickly rushing towards Satoru. And soon he was in front of Satoru, punching directly at Satoru's face. But of course, Satoru wouldn't just sit and wait for death. He dodged directly by turning sideways. With his current physique, it was clearly not a wise decision to fight the other party. He now has the same problem as Kakashi, that is, he has no advantage in strength. After dodging sideways, Satoru originally wanted to perform a shoulder throw, grabbing the hand of the other party's attack and throwing it over. But the other party seemed to have perceived Satoru's intention with the Sharingan. Before his arm was retracted, he directly proposed a sweeping kick. There was no way. Satoru was forced to retreat a few steps. Indeed, it's a troublesome pair of eyes. Satoru sighed in his heart, as if he had no self-awareness at all. He didn't realize that his eyes were also a big trouble for others. All you can do now is dodge, right? Kid. The other party's expression showed a malicious smile, directly took out a kunai from the ninja bag, and Satoru also took out a few shurikens from the ninja bag and threw them at the other party. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Satoru only used 2 seconds to form the seal, although it can't compare with Itachi's 1 second 6 seals. But at Satoru's current age, the speed of forming seals has reached the limit. This technique is useless to me. The other party's face showed a confident smile. His Sharingan had clearly seen all the trajectories of the shuriken flying. Holding the kunai, swinging quickly, his arms had already appeared after images. The collision between the kunai and the shuriken produced several sparks, looking at the many shurikens. But the flying speed was not very fast. They were easily knocked down by the other party. But when he came back to his senses, Satoru disappeared in front of him again. It seemed to be because he had watched Kakashi's battle in the last round. He directly jumped up, seemingly also afraid that Satoru would use the mind decapitation technique to pull him down to the ground. Ah, did it fail? Satoru crawled out from under the ground. He had never failed to use this technique against Kakashi before. The reason why Kakashi used that technique in the last round of the assessment was entirely because he had received his true teachings. It's troublesome. Satoru's moves have been seen through. Kurenai frowned and said, Don't worry, his strength is stronger than you think. And it's almost time for the 10 moves customized for the assessment. Kakashi spoke. Yes. After Kakashi reminded them, they came back to their senses. The battle just now was too intense, causing them to forget for a moment that this was still Satoru's graduation assessment. These little tricks are useless to me. The other party seemed to be very vengeful, and gave back the words Satoru had said to him. Is it? Satoru's voice suddenly came with a teasing tone, and then the Uchiha clan member felt his arm being grabbed, then only heard a bang. Satoru directly turned into smoke and disappeared in everyone's eyes. Is it a shadow clone? Everyone was shocked. When using the Shuriken shadow clone jutsu, did he already use the shadow clone and hide all the real body and clones under the ground? Asakawa Kosuke quickly understood Satoru's combat method. He really is a genius, no matter from which aspect, whether it's in terms of a ninja's talent or battle IQ. Satoru's performance is unparalleled. But just as Satoru was pulling the other party's body down, a puff of smoke suddenly erupted from the other party's body. And then Satoru felt a change in his grip. Substitution jutsu, huh? Your reaction speed is really fast. Is it because of the Sharingan? After failing, Satoru could only helplessly crawl out from the ground again. No, it's not just the Sharingan, but also his experience as a ninja. This made Satoru have to praise in his heart, worthy of being a person of the Uchiha clan. If he only had the Sharingan, he would not be able to dodge Satoru's move. But after Satoru said, is it? Those two words, the other party immediately used the substitution jutsu, without any extra thoughts. I really can't imagine that you are just a 5-year-old child. The other party said what everyone was thinking, whether it was Kakashi or Satoru. The situation they showed was not like what a 5-year-old child could show. Thank you for your compliment then, Satoru said with a smile, without any humility. He accepted the other party's compliment. But you won't have a chance to pass this assessment anymore, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The other party also performed the Shadow Clone, and then the Shadow Clone rushed towards Satoru, intending to compete with Satoru in Taijutsu. And the real body was forming seals behind them. Fire release, Great Fireball Jutsu. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Not good, Asakawa Kosuke muttered to himself, wanting to go to the rescue. But it was too late. The huge fireball had already swallowed Satoru. He didn't expect that the other party would be so ruthless and would actively destroy his own shadow clone. Satoru. The other students also shouted. Kakashi's eyes widened, his hands clenched tightly, and his veins were already bulging. Uchiha kid, you've gone too far. Asakawa Kosuke angrily waited for the other party to speak. Although the power of this great fireball is not enough to kill a person, it will definitely cause very serious burns. Accidents are inevitable in battles. I believe you should be very clear about this. The other party was not afraid of Asakawa Kosuke at all, and directly retorted. Do you know, you are making me very angry now, Uchiha. At this moment, the flames dissipated, and a clearly suppressed angry voice sounded. Satoru, are you okay? Seeing that Satoru was safe and sound, Asakawa Kosuke immediately came forward and asked with concern. Teacher, the assessment is not over yet, right? Satoru asked in a cold tone. If it weren't for his Rikugan always paying attention to the other party's real body, he might have been injured. When the other party performed the Great Fireball technique, Satoru immediately started the Limitless technique. The other party has already made 10 moves. The assessment is over. Can I apply for the assessment to continue? What do you want to do? Asakawa Kosuke frowned and asked. After what happened just now, he really didn't want to continue fighting. I'm just not in a good mood. I want to clean up a bit. No. Asakawa Kosuke immediately refused. Okay, then let's treat it as a battle between a Chunin and a Genin. As soon as Asakawa Kosuke's words fell, the voice of the Uchiha clan member rang out. I have the same intention. After saying that, Satoru's figure disappeared directly from Asakawa Kosuke's sight. When he appeared again, he was already in midair in front of the other party, directly kicking the other party away. And it didn't end there. When the other party's body was flying backwards, Satoru had already appeared behind him, punching out at an extremely fast speed, leaving others unable to react. Enough, Satoru, it's over. Just then, a voice suddenly rang out, and Satoru stopped, because he heard that it was his father's voice. Just now, Satoru directly kicked the other party's head, and that punch also hit the other party's spine, both of which are very vulnerable parts of the human body. During Satoru's first attack, the other party's consciousness was already very blurred, and the second attack made him even more injured. If Tsukumo hadn't suddenly appeared, Satoru would definitely let him know how to behave. But Satoru also has to admit that if he really is the other party's enemy, then he did absolutely nothing wrong. As long as he can eliminate the enemy, what's wrong with being a little harder on himself? But the key is that unknown Uchiha is not Satoru's enemy. He lives in the same village as him. At this time, the other party was already lying on the ground, his consciousness blurred. Everyone was shocked by Satoru's last two attacks. They didn't expect that the Uchiha clan member would not even have a chance to resist. He was completely hung up and beaten by Satoru. This also shows that Satoru was not serious in his fight with the other party. Satoru, you are not allowed to be so harsh with the people in the village in the future. Sakumo walked to Satoru's side from the crowd and said, "Yes, father." Satoru answered with his head down. Although Sakumo's expression was quite serious at this time, it seemed like he was angry. But Satoru knew that this was just a show for outsiders. Sakumo-sama. At this time, Asakawa Kosuke quickly came to Hatake Sakumo's side and said respectfully, "Don't blame Satoru. If it wasn't for the other party's despicable means, Satoru wouldn't have been so ruthless." Asakawa Kosuke explained to Sakumo, "No, we can't blame the other party. After all, there is no mercy on the battlefield. I should thank him for giving Satoru a good lesson." And in the Hokage's office, the third Hokage, who saw this assessment through the telescope technique, showed a serious expression on his face. He originally thought that Kakashi was already a genius, but he didn't expect that Satoru was even stronger than Kakashi. He had a premonition that if Satoru was given enough time to grow, he would definitely surpass Hatake Sakumo in the future. Sakumo really has two good sons. The Uchiha clan member, who was knocked out by Satoru, had already been taken away by his clan members. But before they left, they glared at Satoru and even left a harsh word, which was said in front of Sakumo. "Just wait. Our Uchiha clan will never let you go." It seems that there is a reason why this clan was exterminated. Satoru shook his head helplessly, thinking to himself, the Uchiha clan, regardless of men, women, old or young, always have a superior attitude in front of outsiders. Such a group, it's strange that the Konohagakure village can tolerate it. The current Uchiha clan can be said to have more or less grudges with various families. Congratulations to both of you for graduating successfully. Asakawa Kosuke placed the genin forehead protectors on Satoru and Kakashi's foreheads one by one. I hope that you will also make great contributions to the village like Sakumo in the future. Asakawa Kosuke's words were full of his expectations for these two students. You should thank the teacher for his half-year guidance. At this time, Hatake Sakumo appeared behind the two of them and patted their backs seriously. No need. I didn't teach you anything. It's all due to their own efforts. To be honest, Asakawa Kosuke's heart was also very helpless. Normally, if there were such two outstanding people in his class, he should be very happy, but the reality is not the case. He had no sense of accomplishment at all. These two could easily graduate without being taught. This is talent. Kakashi, wait for me. I will become a genin as soon as possible. Before the few people left, Obito suddenly stopped Kakashi and shouted, "Oh, then you work hard." Kakashi replied coldly, "Satoru, I will catch up with you as soon as possible." Guy also stood behind Satoru and said, I believe you can do it." Satoru answered with a smile. Seeing Satoru's smile, Guy felt that his future was really bright. The other students also seemed to be stimulated by these two brothers. And in the future, they all put in more than usual and more hard work. After returning home, the three men of the Hatake family sat together. "Tomorrow I will ask Hokage-sama to arrange 2 reliable jonin to take you with them. I originally wanted you two to be in a team, but I thought about it carefully. It's better to separate you." "I think so too." Kakashi nodded. If possible, he really didn't want to be in a team with Satoru. He could already imagine what kind of hard life the teammates would have with Satoru. Even if there are tasks, Satoru is sure to win if he can lie down. And in Satoru's mind, sweets are much more important than tasks. "It's really too much. My lovely little brother doesn't want to be with me. It really hurts my brother's heart," Satoru said in a desolate tone, as if he was about to cry the next second. And Kakashi just looked at Satoru's antics coldly, indifferent. "Satoru, come out with me. I want to see how strong your real strength is." Suddenly, Hatake Sakumo spoke. Hearing this, Kakashi's expression became serious. He must not miss the battle between his father and brother. "I'm definitely not a match for my father now. Although he now has the inheritance of the Gojo Satoru, he has only learned part of the abilities. In front of this Kaga-level figure, Satoru definitely has no chance of winning. I know. Hatake Satoru also unceremoniously nodded. Well then, I hope father will show mercy later. Seeing Sakumo's expression, Satoru knew that he couldn't avoid this battle. The three of them came to the Hatake family's practice field. Here you can rest assured to use all your abilities, your trump card. This place has been set up by me with a barrier. Outsiders cannot observe the situation inside. Okay. Satoru took off his glasses, revealing his eyes that were glowing, and also tied the troublesome forehead protector on his arm. Every time I look at these eyes, I can't help but get lost in them. Kakashi thought to himself on the side. Make your move, Satoru. By the time I make my move, you might not have a chance. Of course, this is not Hatake Satoru's arrogant words, although he also knows that Satoru has a trump card. But he does not think that Satoru can withstand him. Then I'll be rude, father. With that, Satoru's figure disappeared directly, and when he appeared again, he was already in midair in front of Hatake, and kicked directly. So fast, Kakashi, who was watching the battle on the side, widened his eyes directly. Satoru's speed completely caught him off guard, just like Satoru's last-minute shot at that Uchiha clan member. During the battle with Hatake Satoru, Satoru used his full strength from the beginning. Good speed, but unfortunately, it's still too slow in my eyes. Satoru blocked Satoru's attack with his right hand, directly grabbed Satoru's leg with his left hand, and then threw it forward directly, hitting a big tree directly. Father is indeed worthy of respect. Satoru patted his body and stood up. But if you observe carefully, you will find that there are no scars on Satoru's back that hit the giant tree, and even dust seems to be invisible. But I won't give up so easily. With that, Satoru's hands quickly formed seals. Fire release, great fireball technique. This was copied from Satoru's battle with that Uchiha clan member just now. Through Rikugan, Satoru directly saw through the other party's ninjutsu, and clearly saw the flow trajectory of the chakra in his body. This low-level ninjutsu is useless, Satoru. Hatake Satoru pulled out a short knife emitting a white light. Facing the oncoming great fireball, he slashed, and the terrifying knife chakra instantly split the great fireball in half. Is this father's strength? Kakashi, who was watching the battle on the side, clenched his fists. He had a longing for Hatake's sword technique in his eyes. He also wanted to learn his father's sword technique. As expected of Konohagakure's white fang, the wind caused by the sword chakra had already blown Satoru's hair fluttering in the wind. He had a feeling of excitement in his heart. Although he knew he was not a match for his father, Satoru also planned to give it his all. I'm going to give it my all, father, curse technique lapse, blue. As soon as Satoru's words fell, Sakumo's heart suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. This was his intuition as a strong person. Then, Sakumo immediately used the body flicker technique, and in the next second, where Sakumo had just stayed, a deep pit had already appeared. What is this? Sakumo and Kakashi were both a little shocked. Although Sakumo had seen the power of this move once, this was the first time Sakumo saw Satoru use it in full. It was completely unmarked ninjutsu. Father, I'm not done yet. Don't be careless. If you die, don't blame me. Come on, kid. Sakumo's face also showed a smile. The stronger Satoru, the happier he would be. Everywhere Sakumo paused, a deep pit appeared due to some kind of attack, a space-type ninjutsu. While dodging, Sakumo was also analyzing Blue's attack method, but it was completely unstructured, as if the attack appeared out of thin air. However, after a few attacks, a few drops of sweat also flowed from Satoru's forehead. After all, even though his chakra is inexhaustible, he still feels tired. You're really too strong, Satoru. With your current strength, you're more than enough to become a special Jonin. A regular Chunin would definitely not be able to dodge Satoru's move. After being attacked a few times, they would definitely lose their combat ability immediately. But father, I'm going to be serious too. After saying that, he immediately used the body flicker jutsu to get close. Satoru also quickly took out a kunai to block, retreating while attacking Sakumo with blue. What a terrifying ninjutsu. It can attack while performing other actions. This also caused Sakumo's attack to be very discontinuous, and he could not fully exert the power of his Hatake sword technique. Is this all of my brother's strength? I can't believe I'm so far behind him. Kakashi, who was watching the battle on the side, was already a bit desperate. He didn't expect that the gap between him and Satoru would be so big. Sakumo was also getting more and more excited as he fought, and more shocked. It had been so long, but Satoru's chakra seemed to be inexhaustible. He didn't believe that using such a powerful ninjutsu would consume a small amount of chakra. This also made Sakumo quickly forget that he was fighting his own child. The power of each move was getting stronger and stronger, and he started to attack Satoru from all directions. After knocking the kunai in Satoru's hand away, the knife in his hand unconsciously cut towards Satoru's vital point. Not good, Sakumo muttered to himself. He actually regarded Satoru as his enemy. He had just come down from the battlefield, and there was still some muscle memory in his body. Even if he changes his move now, it will seriously injure Satoru. Satoru also looked at the knife getting closer and closer with a serious look in his eyes, and directly activated the limitless technique. Then Sakumo felt as if his knife had encountered some resistance. And the closer he got to Satoru, the greater the resistance. He could feel that his knife was still approaching Satoru, and he could feel that the distance was getting closer and closer, but it seemed that he could never touch it. "Father, you're not really trying to kill me, your son, are you?" Hearing Satoru's voice, Sakumo came back to his senses. Sorry. While apologizing, he put the knife away. Now Satoru can't use blue and limitless technique at the same time, so when defending, he can't attack Sakumo. "Okay, do you want to continue, father?" "No need, I have already seen your strength. Even if you go to the battlefield, your strength is enough to protect yourself." Seeing Satoru's strength made Sakumo feel relieved. "During the graduation assessment, you were unharmed in the Great Fireball. Did you use the move just now?" Sakumo asked. "Yes, I used the infinite distance that exists in theory and reality. So no matter what kind of attack the other party is, the distance from me is always just a little bit short," Satoru explained, whether Sakumo could understand or not. That was his business. "So you really have an absolute defense. It should be stronger than Raikage's lightning armor." Seeing the end of the battle, Kakashi also quickly ran over. "Father, brother, are you guys not hurt?" Kakashi immediately asked with concern. Just now seeing his father's knife getting closer and closer to his brother's neck, Kakashi's entire heart was raised to his throat. He was really afraid that his father would accidentally cut off his brother's head. "Don't worry, it's okay," Satoru answered. He saw the genuine concern in Kakashi's eyes for him. "Kakashi, you also have to work hard towards your brother. Otherwise, you will be left further and further behind by your brother." Sakumo saying this is actually a bit unfair. After all, in the end, Satoru's battle with Sakumo was all using the power of the Gojo Satoru. If it weren't for the power of the Gojo Satoru, his strength would be no different from Kakashi's. "Father, I want to learn your swordsmanship." Then, Kakashi said seriously with a swing of his sword. "I want to inherit the title of Konohagakure's White Fang from my father in the future." "Haha, good. I thought you two brothers were always not interested in my powerful swordsmanship. Now that Kakashi wants to learn, I'm not afraid that my swordsmanship will be lost." "Satoru, don't you want to learn?" "Father, just teach Kakashi. My future has already been planned." Okay, for his eldest son, Sakumo is still very relieved now. He has shown a maturity different from his age, since he was a child. After the graduation assessment from the Ninja Academy, Satoru probably stayed at home for about 3 days, and then a jonin came to the door and had a long talk with Hatake Sakumo. It was not until the other party was about to leave that Sakumo called Satoru out. "Satoru, let me introduce you. This person will be your team leader in the future, and he is also a student of mine," Hatake Sakumo said proudly. "Hello, my name is Hatake Satoru. My name is Kitazono Nakajima. You can call me Kitazono-sense, or you can call me Nakajima-sensei, and you don't need to be so polite with me in the future. After all, our relationship with Sakumo-sensei is very good." "Okay, Nakajima-sensei. After all, it's the first time to meet." Satoru still wants to leave a good impression on the other party. As for what the situation will be when they meet for the second time, that's unknown. Kitazono Nakajima, a man who looks very kind from his face, always has a smile on his face, but it doesn't make people feel hypocritical. But it looks very sincere. He was once the proudest student of my father. His strength is very strong. Even now I am not sure if he is his opponent. Sakumo teacher is joking. Even if the disciple practices for 20,000 years, he is not the teacher's opponent. Kitazono Nakajima said modestly. But Nakajima, my child will be handed over to you in the future. I hope you can teach him well, please. Then, Tsukumo's face changed to a very serious expression, and he bowed to Kitazono Nakajima and said, "Don't worry, Tsukumo-sensei. I will definitely treat Satoru as my own child." The smile on Nakajima's face disappeared. After all, if he was still smiling at this time, it would definitely give people a very uncomfortable feeling in their hearts. "Thank you. You're welcome, Sensei. After all, whatever Sensei do to me, I will definitely be the same to Sensei's child." Hearing this, Tsukumo's face changed slightly. He was very good to his students, but he had used his unique skill on almost every student. Tsukumo thought uncertainly. After all, Satoru's strength was so strong. This kind of thing should not happen. And Satoru, who noticed Tsukumo's expression, suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. "If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." "Okay, Satoru, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, gather on time in the Hokage office building. We will receive your first mission tomorrow." "Yes, Nakajima-sensei." Then Kitazono Nakajima left, leaving only Satoru and Tsukumo. "Father, have you ever done anything excessive to Nakajima-sensei before?" Tsukumo stammered for a long time, but he didn't say a complete sentence. "Father just used the tiger seal on his backyard." Finally, under Satoru's burning gaze, Hatake Tsukumo said somewhat awkwardly, "Tiger seal?" Satoru gestured with both hands, and then a silver light flashed in his mind, and he understood instantly. "Yes, I named this technique 1,000 Years Kill." Saying this, Tsukumo's face actually showed a proud and arrogant expression. Now it seems that he doesn't feel ashamed at all. "I didn't expect that father would create such an indescribable technique." Hehe. Hatake Tsukumo laughed embarrassingly. From his appearance, Hatake Tsukumo is definitely a very serious person, but his heart has a playful heart, which is definitely a typical inconsistency. "But I really like this technique." Then, Satoru's face instantly showed a brilliant smile. "Ha ha ha, worthy of being my son, this technique is very powerful. In the ninja world, besides having a title of Konohagakure's White Fang, I actually have another title of Konohagakure's Borfang. The people who gave me the title of Konohagakure's Borfang are almost all people who have been hit by the 1,000 Years Kill," Hatake Tsukumo said proudly. This made Satoru's heart mourn for those people for a moment. If they were hit by Tsukumo's 1,000 Years Kill and were lucky enough not to die, they would probably have a lifetime of shadows. And all of Tsukumo and Satoru's conversations were heard by Kakashi in the room, without missing a word. Father and brother's hobbies are really unique, but 1,000 Years Kill, is it really that powerful? Thinking of the title of Konohagakure's Borfang that Tsukumo said others gave him, it seems to sound more haki than Konohagakure's White Fang. Unconsciously, Kakashi also posed the posture of 1,000 Years Kill on his hand. "I'll have to find someone to try it out when I have the chance." For some reason, Kakashi, who had just looked down on the two of them, suddenly had such a thought in his mind. No. How could I be in the same boat with my father and brother? I am clearly a serious person. Yes, I am a serious person. But this idea is like a seed buried in Kakashi's heart, waiting for the right time to start germinating. Kakashi is not currently in a class, which is also allowed by Tsukumo, because he wants to let Kakashi learn the basics of Hatake's swordsmanship first, and then let Kakashi get training in actual combat. Tsukumo believes that with Kakashi's talent, it won't take long to fully master the basics of Hatake's swordsmanship. As for some more powerful moves, they will have to be improved and created by Kakashi based on his own advantages. "Satoru, you must take good care of your safety outside. The mission can be left unfinished, but you must keep your life," Tsukumo admonished Satoru. Although this seems unprofessional for a ninja, Tsukumo is also a father, and he doesn't want to see his son leave him first. And Tsukumo not only said this to his own son, he has said the same thing to every student he has ever had. In his mind, nothing is more important than life. Even in the usual execution of tasks, he will try to keep his teammates alive. "I know, father, but father, I have a question I want to ask you." "What?" "What if the mission and the life of a teammate conflict? If the mission is completed, then the teammate will definitely die. But if you save your teammate, then the mission will not be completed, and it will cause a lot of damage to existence. If such a situation is in front of the father, how will the father choose?" "I will save my teammates," Hatake Tsukumo answered without any hesitation. "Even if it causes serious damage to the village?" The loss of the village can be remedied, but a person's life only has one chance. You are indeed my father, Satoru smiled. He knew that 5 years later, Hatake Satoru would face such a choice, but it was the same idea 5 years ago, and there was not even a trace of hesitation. I will definitely keep my father's words in mind. Early the next morning, Satoru was forcibly awakened by Sakumo. Although he had to gather at the Hokage building at 8 o'clock in the morning, this was too difficult for Satoru. He had just graduated from school and couldn't even get a good night's sleep. Although Sakumo forcibly woke him up, he arrived at the Hokage building in a daze, and it was almost 9 o'clock. At a glance, Satoru saw Kitazono Nakajima standing next to him and 2 children standing next to him. Although they were children, they looked older than Satoru. At least they looked like they were 9 or 10 years old. Satoru, I didn't expect you to be late on the first day of gathering. The expression on Kitazono Nakajima's face was very serious, and his squinted eyes had disappeared. I'm sorry. I met a lost kitten on the way, and in the spirit of doing good deeds, I sent the lost kitten back to her mother. Satoru directly stated his reason for being late. His face was not good, and his expression did not seem to be embarrassed at all. And the expressions on the faces of the 3 people opposite clearly expressed the meaning. Lie, continue to lie. If Satoru could hide his dazed state a little bit, they might believe it a little bit. But now it obviously looks like he just woke up, and he made up the reason for sending the kitten home, which is full of loopholes. This is clearly not treating them as people, but as ghosts, because isn't this deceiving ghosts? All right, just this once, don't make it a habit. Let me introduce you to your 2 teammates. This is Nagayama Masahiro. Nakajima-sensei introduced another boy to Satoru. Yo, hello there. Satoru greeted the other person very familiarly. TSK, such a little brat can actually join our team. Don't drag us down when doing tasks. I don't want to have a burden when executing tasks. The boy named Nagayama Masahiro seemed to have a lot of resentment towards Satoru. This is Yano Miwa. You will get along well with these 2 in the future. You are Hatake Satoru, right? I have heard of your name. You are one of only 2 students who graduated from the ninja school at the age of 5 since the establishment of the ninja school. You are one of them. You are a true genius. No. There is a lot of thing I need to learn. Satoru covered his mouth with one hand and fanned the other hand on the side. It was clearly a humble phrase, but there was no humility in Satoru's body. Please teach me a lot in the future, senpai. Maybe I will need Satoru's protection by then. After all, I heard that Satoru defeated the elite of the Uchiha clan during the graduation assessment, and I am just a medical ninja. Medical ninja? That's amazing. Satoru praised Yano Miwa. If you say which ninjutsu is the most difficult to get started, it is none other than medical ninjutsu. Alright, if you want to enhance your feelings, enhance them during the task. Suddenly, Kitazono Nakajima interrupted the conversation between the 2. Then, Nakajima took Satoru and a few others to the place where they received the task. Yano Miwa and Nagayama Masahiro had been to this place several times, but it was Satoru's first time. So he looked around and showed a curious look at everything. Is this guy really a genius? There was a tic-tac-toe on Nagayama Masahiro's forehead, as if he was suppressing his anger. He felt that Satoru now looked like a clown, and he felt ashamed to walk with him. Hokage-sama. When Nakajima led a few people into the room, Nakajima, Miwa, and Masahiro all spoke to the 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting in the main seat, with a very respectful tone. Only Satoru stood straight, carefully looking at the 3rd Hokage. He could see that the 3rd Hokage's body contained a very powerful chakra. This chakra was above his father Hatake Satoru. The 3rd Hokage was in his prime. At the peak of his strength, he could be said to be the most powerful person in the entire Konohagakure village. Nakajima, long time no see. How have the tasks been completed recently? As soon as he saw Kitazono Nakajima, the 3rd Hokage showed a very caring look for his subordinates. Thank you for your concern, Hokage-sama. The completion rate of recent tasks is 100%. The 3rd Hokage is not always in the task hall. Only occasionally, or when he meets someone interesting, will he come here to sit for a while. Very good. You are indeed an excellent ninja of my Konohagakure village. Then, Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his gaze to Satoru. You are Sakumo's child, Hatake Satoru, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Satoru, but the tone of his speech had already confirmed the answer to his question. Yes, Hokage-sama. This was the first face-to-face meeting between the third Hokage and Hatake Satoru. The third Hokage had seen Kakashi before. After all, Kakashi was a well-known genius since he was a child, and Satoru was completely transparent before the graduation assessment. So the third Hokage did not pay much attention to Satoru at that time. It was only after the graduation assessment that the third Hokage knew that Satoru was the one who was hidden the deepest, which made him pay more attention to Satoru in his daily life. Like father, like son, the third Hokage said with a kind face. I hope you won't disgrace your father's reputation in the future. Don't worry, I will definitely not disappoint Hokage-sama. Well, since this is Satoru's first mission, let's arrange a simple task for you. I remember there is a group of bandits near Konohagakure village that need to be cleared out, a sea-level task. Just leave it to you. Yes, Hokage-sama, we promise to complete the task. Nakajima took over the details of the task. Suddenly, a group of bandits appeared on the outskirts of Konohagakure village, doing all kinds of burning, killing, and looting, and needed to be cleared as soon as possible. It's really a dangerous period. The first task is to kill. Satoru's heart was not afraid at all, but there was a trace of excitement. Now it's different from the peaceful development period when the plot started. Now the Second Ninja World War has just ended, and countless ordinary people who have been displaced in the war have gathered together. These people have no food, no way to survive. They can only go up the mountain to be bandits. Of course, it is also possible that there are spies from enemy countries disguised as bandits, but this rarely happens. Like finding cats and cleaning up garbage, you can't find them now. At this time, as long as a genin graduates, he must be prepared to sacrifice at any time. This task is not urgent for a while. It will take half a day to travel. So now everyone goes home to pack up and gather at the village gate on time at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, Nakajima-sensei. Especially you, Satoru. Don't be late in the afternoon. Don't worry, Nakajima-sensei. When I need to be serious about something, I can still distinguish it. Although Satoru might be late, he can't be late in all situations. He will only be late when his lateness will not cause major problems. He is usually very punctual in doing anything. Have you received the task? When he returned home, Satoru found that Tsukumo had been sitting at the door for a long time, as if he had been waiting for him here for a long time. Yes, father, sea-level task, clear out the bandits. Bandits? This simple task is very suitable to be your first task, and it can also let you experience the cruelty of the world of genin. After eating, you can prepare to set off. I will wait for you at home. I hope when I come home, you won't have to leave because of a task. After a simple meal, Satoru left, and Tsukumo sat cross-legged at the door of the house, watching Satoru's gradually distant figure, feeling very uncomfortable in his heart. Is father worried about brother? At this moment, Kakashi came over and asked, Don't worry, with brother's strong strength, there will definitely be no problem. I hope so. After all, some accidents often happen in tasks, and some tasks may be upgraded from C level to A level or even S level. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Satoru had already arrived at the village gate on time. Although he was not late, Satoru was still the last one. In fact, he set off from home very early, but he saw a dessert shop on the road that had new products, which immediately attracted his steps. So after some delay, he became the last one again. We are here to carry out tasks, not to go out for a picnic. How can you look like a ninja like this? Nagayama Masahiro frowned, and his tone seemed very severe. This made Satoru a little baffled. It seems that I didn't provoke you. Why is he like eating gunpowder? Don't take it to heart, Satoru. Masahiro is not bad in nature. Yano Miwa quickly came out to round the field. All right, let's not talk anymore. Let's set off now. Then, after taking a look at the task list with the gatekeeper ninja, Nakajima took the 3 of them out of the gate and immediately jumped into the woods. If it is not for some escort tasks, ninjas generally do not walk leisurely on the road. Actually, Masahiro's character was not like this before. During the journey, Nakajima-sensei was in the first echelon, leading the way. Masahiro was in the second echelon, seemingly deliberately distancing himself from the 2 of them. Satoru and Miwa were in the third echelon, in the last position. Masahiro used to be a very friendly person, and he was very willing to help others. Everyone who knew him had a very good relationship with him. Miwa said to Satoru, but through these 2 interactions, Satoru completely did not find out where the friendliness was. But until one mission, we lost a teammate. As soon as these words came out, Miwa's tone was somewhat sad, and Satoru's mood also became a bit low. Satoru also knew that a normal team configuration is a leading jonin, and 3 genin or chunin. If nothing unexpected happens, these people will belong to this team for a lifetime, with deep bonds. But if a newly graduated genin is arranged into an old ninja team, then there are several possibilities. The first is that a ninja in the team is sacrificed, and the second is that a ninja in the team has defected. But no matter what the situation is, for the other members of the ninja team, the impact is huge. Masahiro started to change from that time. He didn't want to get too close to anyone. He just wanted to be alone. Satoru probably understands now. The death of a close friend plunged Masahiro into extreme sadness. And in order not to have such sad emotions in the future, he wanted to make his relationship with anyone ordinary and unfamiliar. So even if the other party died, there would be no touch in his heart. But this is just a beautiful idea. It is impossible to exist in reality, unless you have a grudge against the other party. No matter how long you get along, there will be no feelings. Otherwise, even if it is not deliberate, feelings will naturally improve. So, I hope you don't blame Masahiro. I understand, after all, he is just a poor person. Knowing the cause of the matter, Satoru will not entangle with Masahiro anymore. Otherwise, he had made up his mind at the beginning. He must come to 1,000 years kill with him. Miwa's words can be said to have saved Masahiro's life. It should be said that you are indeed worthy of being Tsukumo-sensei's child. During the journey, Nakajima has been observing Satoru. He has been speeding up his journey. Unexpectedly, Satoru has been able to keep up. Due to the urgency of time, he simply didn't have the time to assess Satoru's strength. His understanding of Satoru's strength was merely hearsay. 1. He learned from others that Satoru had defeated a Chunin from the Uchiha clan. 2. He learned from Tsukumo that Satoru was very strong. So just now, he was only testing Satoru's speed, and to his surprise, Satoru did not disappoint him. Although he could continue to speed up now, if he did so, Masahiro and Miwa wouldn't be able to keep up. Without any rest in the middle, they rushed for 5 hours and finally arrived at the mountain where the bandits were located. Rest in place, eat some food, replenish some energy, and launch an attack directly later. The mission target is to kill all these bandits. When he said the last words, a faint killing intent emerged from Nakajima-sensei. No matter whether they were citizens of the Land of Fire before, as long as they had done something to harm the people of the Land of Fire, they must not be forgiven. For some bandits who are just ordinary people, they don't need to make any meticulous plans at all. After all, there is a big gap between ninjas and ordinary people. Almost in the process of fighting, be careful. You can almost do it without injury. Everyone was eating food. Only Satoru was sitting on the side drinking water dryly. Just now when he was on the road, his mouth had never been idle, so he was not hungry at all now. Here, but other people might not think so. Masahiro directly threw a bun to Satoru. Because he was in front of Satoru when he was on the road just now, he didn't know that Satoru had eaten something. Don't drag us down by then. Typically, Masahiro is a tough guy with a soft heart. Thanks. Satoru also ate it into his mouth without being polite. Wow, it's a red bean bun, so sweet, so delicious. Satoru let out a moan, and then teleported directly in front of Masahiro. Is there any more? I still want to eat. Satoru has no resistance to sweets. What? Satoru's extremely fast speed just now scared Masahiro. Masahiro, don't give him any more. Satoru has been eating all the way just now. Hey Miwa, you're too much. Seeing the sweet red bean bun leaving him, Satoru couldn't help but show tears of sadness on his face. Damn it, you guy, vomit out what you ate just now. Although he knew that Satoru had brought sweets, he thought that they had been eaten before departure. He didn't expect that he had eaten all the way, which was really a waste of his kindness and his food. This seems to be a good team. Nakajima looked at Satoru and Masahiro, who were playing around, and Miwa, who was either fanning the flames or persuading them on the side. All of this made Nakajima feel that Satoru's joining was a very correct choice. Nakajima was also clear about Masahiro's state. He would occasionally talk to him and guide his psychology, but it seemed that it didn't have any useful effect. Masahiro's heart seemed to be becoming more and more closed. But now with the addition of Satoru, a disruptor, everything seems to be developing in a good direction. All right, let's start now. Seeing that everyone had rested enough, Nakajima-sensei spoke up. And then the expressions of the three people immediately changed, because they were about to carry out a massacre. They had already investigated this group of bandits on their way here. They had committed numerous atrocities, and there was no need to let them live anymore. Otherwise, in general, if the sins committed are less, they would usually be captured alive. After cleaning up the garbage they had just produced, they then sneaked into the forest like ghosts. Before long, they saw the stronghold built by the bandits, and they could still hear the laughter of pleasure coming from inside. At the entrance of the stronghold, there were also a few gatekeepers, but for Satoru and the others, they were just like babies. The mission begins, remember, don't leave any survivors. If you encounter hostages, try to rescue them. If you can't rescue them, kill them on the spot. Nakajima-sensei reiterated the content of the mission. Yes, the three of them answered at the same time. This is the cruelty of the ninja world. Even if you are a hostage, even if you are an ordinary person, as long as you hinder the execution of the mission, you must be eliminated. Brat, don't drag us down. Masahiro glanced at Satoru and then rushed forward first. Who's there? The few bandits guarding the gate immediately discovered Masahiro's whereabouts. They just took out their weapons and asked, but before they finished speaking, they saw a flash of white light and blood flowers burst out of their chests, and then their eyes rolled back, and they fell directly to the ground. Intruders, intruders. Suddenly, the bandits inside the stronghold also discovered the situation here and hurriedly shouted. Then, the thump, thump, thump footsteps sounded throughout the stronghold, and everyone started to mobilize. Satoru, you have to protect yourself. Then Miwa also rushed over. Although she is a medical ninja and is not very good at fighting, it is easy to deal with some people who are not even ninjas. If you can't do it, just retreat. Don't force yourself. Seeing that Satoru had not acted for a long time, Nakajima put his hand on Satoru's shoulder and said, "No, I'm just sighing. My two teammates are really amazing." At this time, Masahiro and Miwa were like two death gods, reaping the lives of these people. Without any mercy, almost everyone was killed with one blow. The number of lives in their hands is no less than 100, and the cowardice in their character has long been worn away in battle after battle. Nakajima-sensei said. The first time they saw this scene, they were much worse than you are now. Their bodies were trembling with fear. You are the best performer among all the people I have seen. Is it? But for the first mission, I can't be a bystander. After saying that, Satoru directly used the derivative usage of blue, teleporting instantly. Although he couldn't make the moving distance too long, it was easy to move into the stronghold. What is this? Nakajima, who was next to Satoru just now, saw Satoru suddenly appear on the battlefield, and his expression suddenly became a little dazed. Just now, he didn't catch Satoru's speed at all. This is not a body flicker technique at all. Nakajima was very sure of his inner thoughts. The body flicker technique is just a very fast, super high-speed movement, but there are traces to follow. But Satoru's performance just now seemed like space ninjutsu. Space ninjutsu? Have I discovered some incredible secret? Nakajima murmured to himself. In fact, the principle of using blue for instant movement is very simple. You can accurately determine where blue appears. Use the accurately oriented blue that is only effective for people or objects that need to be displaced, and compress the distance or space between the starting point and the end point to achieve an effect similar to teleportation. So it's not an exaggeration to say this is space ninjutsu. Seeing Satoru's figure suddenly appear in the middle of the battlefield, all the bandits around him were stunned for a second. But after seeing the forehead protector on Satoru's arm, they knew that this little guy was an enemy. Then a group of people rushed towards Satoru. Be careful, Satoru. Miwa loudly reminded Satoru. Masahiro also watched Satoru with tense eyes, and Nakajima-sensei was also tense all over. As long as Satoru had an accident, he would take action immediately. Heh, I hope your swarm tactics can make me a little interested. Satoru spoke. His expression on his face was a bit crazy, and two kunai immediately appeared in his hand. Then Satoru's figure quickly flickered among the crowd. Wherever Satoru's figure passed, people fell down one after another like dominoes. Is this Satoru's strength? Nakajima-sensei, who had been observing Satoru, Masahiro, and Miwa, were all stunned. The strength shown was not like someone who had just graduated from Ninja Academy. So strong, Satoru. Miwa shouted at Satoru. Is this a genius? Masahiro was a bit unwilling in his heart. His talent can't be said to be mediocre, but it's definitely not a genius. It can only be said to be average. He originally thought that Hatake Satoru's genius title was just bragged by others, but now he found out that he was terribly wrong. Satoru indeed has the capital to become a genius. You know, the first time he saw this scene when he came out of Ninja Academy, he was already scared silly, let alone killing. Satoru's killing stopped. A large number of people fell behind Satoru, and there was not a drop of blood stain on Satoru's body. At this time, Satoru also exuded a forbidding aura, like a white-haired death god. Not good, they're going to run. At this time, Miwa suddenly noticed that all the surviving bandits were running towards a house. Hearing Miwa's loud voice, Satoru turned his head and looked, and then immediately rushed into the house. But the moment he rushed into the house, Satoru noticed the explosives plastered all over the house. Then, the explosives ignited sparks one by one and directly exploded. The sky-high explosion directly blew up the entire house. Masahiro, Miwa, and Nakajima, who came later, looked at the house burning with flames and were completely stunned. They didn't expect that Satoru's first mission would have an accident. Looking at the blazing flames, Masahiro and Miwa's hearts fell into extreme self-blame, and Nakajima's heart was also full of regret. However, before the three of them had time to generate negative emotions, a figure suddenly rushed out of the flames. This person was Hatake Satoru, and everyone was staring at Hatake Satoru, who rushed out of the sea of fire. And Hatake Satoru was also staring at the three people who were staring at him. Hey, are you three idiots? Seeing that the three of them were just staring at him and not speaking, Satoru spoke first. Satoru, are you okay? Nakajima-sensei was the first to react. He came directly to Satoru's side and carefully checked Satoru all over. Of course, what could happen to me? Satoru asked back with some confusion. But the flames just now, the explosion just now. Then, Miwa said with some choking. We thought you had an accident. Miwa wiped the tears that hadn't fallen from the corner of her mouth and said, Oh, you mean that explosion? How could a mere explosion take my life? I am Hatake Satoru, the genius among geniuses. Satoru gave himself a thumbs up and showed a confident and brilliant smile on his face. Seeing Satoru like this, everyone was relieved. But thank you for your concern. Who cares about you? Suddenly, Masahiro tilted his head, pouted, and said insincerely, You're really not honest. Satoru originally wanted to clamp Masahiro's head directly, but he found that his height is a hard injury now, and he can't do what he imagined at all. But Satoru, how did you survive that violent explosion? Miwa suddenly asked a question that everyone was concerned about. Nakajima couldn't figure out what method Satoru used to survive the explosion. Could it be that unknown space ninjutsu? But Satoru did come out of the flames, and he didn't use that space ninjutsu to transfer to other places at all. Do you want to know? A wicked smile suddenly appeared on Satoru's face. Yeah. The three of them nodded at the same time, showing a curious expression on their faces. Just like in class, good students listen to the teacher's lecture obediently. I won't tell you, haha. Seeing the great change in the expressions on the faces of the three people, Satoru laughed out loud in front of them. Satoru, has anyone ever told you that you actually deserve a beating? Nakajima gritted his teeth and said, his character and temper can be considered good among the jonin in Kanahagakure village. But now he is still being angered by others. My brother often tells me that, but he can't beat me. Satoru really thought about it a little bit. Other people have also told me, but they can't beat me either. Then now I will clean you up for them. Nakajima smiled and directly punched Satoru's head, and a big bag immediately bulged on Satoru's head. He didn't expect Nakajima-sensei to suddenly make a move, so he didn't make any defense at all. He didn't even open the limitless technique, and even if Satoru knew it, he wouldn't do it, because he knew that the other party had no malice towards him. But this should be the first time Satoru has been hit since he came to this world. Everyone has their own secrets, so we won't ask about this matter. Then Nakajima spoke up. Since Satoru didn't want to say, he naturally couldn't force him. Yep, Satoru nodded in agreement. And you don't have to worry about my safety in the future, because I won't die. Although other people don't believe this sentence, it is obvious that what Satoru said is true. As long as he is given a few more years, once he masters the reverse curse technique, even if he is not invincible in this world, He will definitely not be killed by others. Humph, bragging without blushing, and don't know to draft. Masahiro still looked very disdainful of Satoru. Okay, let's clean up the battlefield, see what useful things are there. And some fish that slipped through the net. They all know the truth that wild grass cannot be burned out, and spring breeze blows and lives again. If there are fish that have not been eliminated, then it will not take long for a new group of bandits to appear here. As for useful things, to put it simply, it's money. All the money seized during the mission belongs to the ninja himself. After all, ninjas also need money to live, and bandit dens usually have a lot of valuable places. After about half an hour of sweeping, all the fish that slipped through the net were cleared, and all the money was confiscated by them, with Satoru taking the most. Although Satoru was the last to appear, he was the one who killed the most enemies. Satoru also needs this money to buy more sweets to eat. As for those bandits who fled to a house full of explosives, they actually dug a tunnel under the house. They planned to use the tunnel to escape, and even if there were pursuers, they could be blocked by the explosives plastered all over the house. But they didn't expect Satoru to catch up so quickly, and because there was not a single ninja among these bandits, they couldn't recognize how terrifying the power of the explosives plastered all over the house was. At the moment of the explosion of the explosives, the tunnel they dug collapsed instantly, and all the people fleeing in the tunnel were already crushed underneath, either killed by the aftermath of the explosives or crushed by the collapsed tunnel. This mission is successfully completed. Congratulations, Satoru. You have beautifully completed the first mission in your life. You are the most outstanding and talented ninja I have ever seen. Nakajima directly praised Satoru generously. He couldn't find any flaws in Satoru's actions in this operation, except for his bad character. The room was full of explosives, which was unexpected for everyone. Fortunately, Satoru was the one who went in. If it were other people, they probably wouldn't be able to survive such an explosion. I know I'm excellent, Nakajima-sensei. Don't praise me anymore. If you keep praising me, I'll be shy. Satoru showed a coy expression, and his cheeks quickly turned red. But looking at Satoru's expression, it seemed that he liked Nakajima's praise very much, as if he was saying, don't stop, keep praising. Nakajima, who wanted to open his mouth, gaped a few times, didn't make any sound, and closed his mouth. Being a ninja is a complete waste of your talent. It's a pity you don't learn to perform. Right. I also think I have a lot of talent in performing. Sigh. I can clearly life with my face alone, but I have to life with my strength. Everyone really couldn't bear to look directly at Satoru's exaggerated performance. Miwa even covered her mouth and laughed. Satoru, you're really funny. After resting in place for a night, they set off early the next morning to return to Kanahigakure village. They didn't arrive at the village gate until almost noon. I didn't expect the first journey out of the village to end so quickly. Looking at the gate of Kanahigakure village, Satoru said with some emotion, after all, he had been away from the village for less than a day. All right, don't be like that. There will be plenty of time to leave the village in the future. It will be a bit difficult to come back. Nakajima-sensei said next to Satoru. Let's report the mission first, then go home and rest, and then wait for my next assembly order. Yes, Nakajima-sensei. When reporting the mission, Satoru saw the third Hokage again. Through Nakajima's description, the third Hokage expressed high praise for Satoru, hoping that Satoru could continue to work hard and make outstanding contributions to Kanahigakure village again. Upon returning home, Satoru found his father sitting at the door in the same posture as yesterday. He didn't know whether he had been sitting there since he left yesterday, or had just returned today. Are you back? Was the mission successful? Although Hatake Satoru was sitting there without opening his eyes, he could observe any movement in the yard. Yes, the mission was successfully completed. Hearing this, Satoru opened his eyes and let out a soft sigh, seeming to relax a lot. Since brother left yesterday, father has been sitting there. At this time, Kakashi suddenly came out from the backyard and said to Satoru. Hearing that his younger son had exposed him like this, Satoru's face was a bit unbearable, and Satoru was also slightly stunned. Then a happy smile appeared on his face. This might be the love from a father. Although it can't be expressed in words, his heart and actions are always thinking about his child. Thank you for your concern, father, but I'm fine. My strength is very strong. It's good if you're fine. Satoru nodded. Since he had already been exposed by Kakashi, he might as well not hide anything anymore. Time flies, we can stop the clock, but we can't keep the passage of time. Soon a year has passed. In this year, Satoru's strength has been changing every day. Although he has not fully mastered Cursed Technique Reversal Red, it seems that the time to master it is not far away. Hatake Satoru is different from Gojo Satoru. All of Gojo Satoru's techniques are learned by himself, while Hatake Satoru directly received the inheritance of Gojo Satoru. All the usage skills are in his mind. He doesn't need to learn by himself, he just needs to practice proficiently. So Hatake Satoru can become invincible earlier than Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru became the strongest at the age of 17, while Hatake Satoru felt that he became the strongest at the age of 12. It should not be difficult to advance 5 years. In this year, under the leadership of Nakajima-sensei, Satoru completed a total of 11 B-level missions, 65 C-level missions, and 132 D-level missions. It can be said that in this year, their team has been busy with mission life. Although D-level missions are not difficult, they are troublesome. When they are free, they almost complete one a day. C-level missions are almost ordinary escort missions, or similar to the task of exterminating bandits. In short, there may be battles, but they are very simple. As for B-level missions, they are not only battles, but the opponents may also be ninjas. This is a situation where casualties may occur. Fortunately, in these 11 B-level missions, although they also fought with ninjas, fortunately, their team has Satoru, a person like a plug-in, whose strength is top-notch among Chunin. In addition, in these few battles, the enemy did not have Jonin's participation, so these B-level missions went very smoothly. In addition, after Kakashi learned Hatake's swordsmanship for a month, he also joined a small team to carry out the mission, which immediately made the Hatake brothers famous. Both of them are among the few top geniuses in the history of Konohagakure, and they even have the title of Konohagakure Twin Stars. When they heard this title, even though Satoru's face was thick, he couldn't bear it, and he almost got awkward cancer. Of course, this also means that everyone is watching how their future will be, and everyone has high expectations for them. While Satoru was training in the Hatake family's training ground, he suddenly looked up and saw a hawk circling in the sky. Is there another mission coming? After a simple cleanup, Satoru rushed to the usual gathering place. It was a field where their class often trained. For some reason, although Satoru didn't want to be late every time, he was always the last to arrive. Nakajima-sensei, what mission did you take this time? Masahiro asked Nakajima directly. After a year of getting along with Satoru, his character has completely corrected Masahiro's twisted character. Although the two are 4 years apart in age, Satoru feels more like an older brother. No, it's not a mission this time. Nakajima shook his head. Not a mission? Then why did you call us? Masahiro and Miwa both had puzzled looks in their eyes. Since Satoru was wearing sunglasses, they didn't know what kind of emotion Satoru's eyes were expressing. Because this matter is related to you, Masahiro, Miwa, you two have been genin for 2 years, right? Yes, what's wrong, teacher? And Satoru seemed to understand when he heard this sentence. Could it be the Chunin exam? Satoru asked directly. Nakajima looked at Satoru in surprise. Do you know? No, I just guessed it. After all, as long as you have a little brain, you can extract the hidden meaning in the sentence from what the teacher just said. Satoru, you're saying I don't have a brain. At Satoru's words, Masahiro understood very quickly, was so angry that he rolled his eyes, and directly gave Satoru a headlock. I didn't. Please don't take it personally. Yes, it is the Chunin exam, but I also want to ask for your opinions. After all, the Chunin exam is to be participated in as a small team. If any of you disagree, then you can't take the Chunin exam. I agree, of course I want to participate. I can't wait to become a Chunin. Masahiro was the first to speak. I also agree, becoming a Chunin can make a higher contribution to the village. Miwa also spoke. Then, everyone's eyes turned to Satoru. Of course I agree too, and I don't think you can pass the Chunin exam without me. Satoru smiled. His tone and expression were all saying that he was very confident in his strength. Damn it, who do you think you're looking down on? Please don't take it personally. I will try to finish writing the childhood period as soon as possible. When Satoru returned home, he found that Kakashi was also there, which was somewhat unexpected for Satoru. After all, since knowing the number of tasks Satoru had undertaken, Kakashi had become a task fanatic and didn't want to be left too far behind by Satoru. But when he thought of the Chunin exam the next day, Satoru understood. How about it, Kakashi? Do you need me to help you be during the Chunin exam, so that my little brother can become the youngest Chunin in history? Satoru said, messing with Kakashi's hair. I don't need it. With a wave, Kakashi shook off Satoru's hand and said flatly, I will definitely become a Chunin through my own efforts. Is that so? Then I hope we won't have a moment of confrontation, Kakashi. You should be very clear about my strength. Tisk. Kakashi let out a disdainful sound, but his heart was still a bit heavy. If his opponent was really Satoru, then he really had no chance of winning. He felt as if he could no longer see Satoru's back. Early the next morning, the two brothers set off early and arrived at the exam site. This was no different from the Chunin exam in Satoru's memory. The first round was a written test. However, to Satoru's surprise, all the ninjas here were from Konohagakure village, and not a single ninja from other villages appeared. This means that this is a war to compete for quotas with their own people. But after thinking about it carefully, Satoru could understand the reason. The Second Ninja World War ended only a few years ago, and the current situation in the ninja world is still very tense, as if the Third Ninja World War is about to begin. Therefore, Konohagakure village naturally cannot let ninjas from other major ninja villages come in. As for the small ninja villages, they dare not come. After all, participating in Konohagakure's Chunin exam means having a good relationship with Konohagakure, which also means that they may offend the other 4 major ninja villages. So just in case they did not participate, this resulted in the Chunin exam held by Konohagakure, this time being a struggle between ninjas within their own village. The written test questions were a breeze for Satoru, and there was no need to cheat at all, because the test was basically common sense. However, unexpectedly, their class had all passed in this round of competition. After all, both Masahiro and Miwa have been genin for 2 years, and they have accumulated a lot of task experience, enough to cope with any questions on the test paper, and all 3 of them are full of confidence in each other. So in the last question, no one gave up. Just as everyone was preparing to celebrate the passing of the first round of exams, the door of the exam room was suddenly pulled open, and then a man with long hair, a pale face, and a very gloomy look walked in. The moment they saw this person, the entire exam room was instantly silent, and anyone who was stared at by this person's gaze felt as if they were being stared at by a giant python. Orochimaru-sama, please take care of the second round of the exam. The jonin in charge of the first round of the exam said respectfully to the other party. This person is Orochimaru, who is known as the 3 Nin and Cold Monarch, and is also the disciple of the 3rd Hokage. Who would have thought that the examiner for the second round of the survival test would be him? Satoru's eyes behind his sunglasses narrowed slightly. Orochimaru's appearance was somewhat unexpected, and Orochimaru seemed to feel Satoru's gaze, and also glanced in Satoru's direction. Are there still half of the people left? But it doesn't matter. After my assessment is over, there may be less than 10 people left. As soon as these words came out, the students who had not yet had time to be excited about passing the first round of the exam suddenly felt a heavy pressure. They didn't think Orochimaru was just talking. After all, they have all heard of Orochimaru's name. His methods are very cruel and cold-blooded, otherwise, he would not be called the Cold Monarch. All of you head directly to the second assessment site. Those who do not arrive within 5 minutes will be considered as forfeiting. After the announcement, Orochimaru's body popped and turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. This is Orochimaru's shadow clone. This kind of thing does not need to bother his real body. And then Satoru's figure also turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. Yes, the Satoru who came to take the exam this time is also a shadow clone. This guy, Masahiro, who had originally planned to go with Satoru, clenched his fists in anger. He didn't expect that Satoru would send a shadow clone to such an important Chunin exam. All right, Masahiro, let's go quickly, otherwise we might really be eliminated later. At this time, there were not many people left in the examination room. And at this moment, Satoru, who was eating dessert in a dessert shop, suddenly froze, and the memory of the shadow clone was directly received by the real body. The examiner for the second round is actually Orochimaru? That's really interesting. From Satoru's face, there was no worry at all. For him, it doesn't matter who the examiner is, as long as he doesn't provoke him and the people around him. But this time I might have to go with my real body. After saying that, Satoru directly used the body flicker technique and arrived at the second assessment site, which is the Forest of Death. Just after arriving not long ago, Satoru heard a voice of anger. Satoru, you actually used a shadow clone to take the exam. Masahiro's angry questioning sounded behind Satoru, and also Masahiro's raised fist. But when the fist was about to fall on Satoru's head, it suddenly stopped. You're not a shadow clone this time, are you? Before beating him, Masahiro would definitely ask first. If it was a shadow clone, it would be beaten to nothing in one fell swoop, and that would be over. No, that's good. A cruel expression appeared on Masahiro's face, and his fist swung down quickly, but he hit the air directly. Satoru's figure had already appeared in the distance, where Kakashi was. This guy. Masahiro raised his fist and gritted his teeth. All right, Masahiro, you understand Satoru's character. Miwa hurriedly comforted him on the side. He was afraid that Masahiro would get angry. This bastard, sooner or later, I will beat him up on the ground. Let him know how to respect his seniors. But Satoru also found that there were fewer people around. Are there a third of the people who haven't come? It seems that for some people, this assessment has already begun. Satoru compared the number of people in the memory returned by the shadow clone with the number of people who are now present. 5 minutes is enough for everyone to reach the Forest of Death. But now there are a third of the people who have not arrived, which means that among these people who have arrived now, some people have already started to make a move. After all, they are going to be eliminated anyway. Eliminating them earlier can increase some chances of passing. At this moment, with a bang, a cloud of smoke appeared, and Orochimaru's figure appeared directly in front of everyone. I will announce the rules for the second round of the exam. It's simple. The first 10 people to reach the central tower can pass the exam. Such simple rules really stunned some people, because from the experience they got from their predecessors, they still need to compete for things like the Heaven Scroll and Earth Scroll. But there is none this time. It's really a simple and crude exam. Satoru thought to himself. Not competing for things does not mean that there will be no fights, but it is very likely that the fights will become more intense. Only 10 people can reach the central tower, which means that more than 40 people have to fail here. So in order to compete for the first few people to reach the central tower, there must be a fight. Even teammates will fight each other. And if the rules are like before, as long as the teams that meet each other collect the Heaven Scroll and Earth Scroll, most of them will choose to live in peace. After all, their main purpose of participating in this exam is to become Chunin, not to fight. But in order to make this exam not so simple, I decided to increase some difficulty. Then Orochimaru bit his finger, made a few seals, and then slapped the ground directly. Summoning Jutsu. Instantly, 3 huge pythons appeared on the ground. The body size of these genin standing in front of this python feels like it's not enough to stuff its teeth. Hey, no way, this is a joke, right? Masahiro looked at the 3 huge pythons with a somewhat dazed look and swallowed. Miwa's legs were also trembling slightly, and her whole body was exuding a sense of tension and fear. Most of the remaining genin also showed the same performance. After all, there are these 3 huge creatures in the examination room. It's impossible to say that they are not afraid. They are afraid that they will be swallowed alive in a moment. Orochimaru-sama, are you trying to kill us? One of the genin raised his hand and said tremblingly. Of course, when you become ninjas, it means that you have stepped on the road to death. If you are afraid, you can give up now. Orochimaru said that. As soon as these words came out, many genin immediately raised their hands to give up. They came to become Chunin, not to be food to feed. If they can't pass this year, they can come again next time. But if they are swallowed into the stomach, they can only come again in the next life. Looking at these ninjas who gave up, the jonin who were watching this exam, their expressions couldn't help but be a little disappointed. These people, even if they go to the battlefield, are all people who are afraid of death. At this time, Masahiro's heart was also shaking, because there was only his mother at home. If he had an accident, what should his mother do? But at this moment, Masahiro and Miwa suddenly felt a warm palm touch their backs, and then a voice full of security came from their ears. Don't worry, I will definitely protect you. Satoru's voice sounded in their ears, instantly making them feel a great sense of security in their hearts. Through Satoru's tone of voice now, the two knew that Satoru was serious. and the two of them also trust Satoru very much. In this year's mission career, the two of them have fallen into crisis several times. Sometimes even teacher Nakajima can't react in time, but they were easily saved by Satoru. Now they don't know what kind of strength Satoru has, but they know that they can absolutely believe what Satoru says. "Hey, I'm not weak enough to need your protection, Satoru." Instantly, Masahiro's heart underwent a huge change, but he was still pretending to be strong on the surface. Not far from Satoru, Kakashi was also looking at the three giant snakes with a serious face. "If I try my best, I should be able to deal with one." Kakashi thought to himself, these snakes didn't have much strength, they just looked very large, so they seemed very scary. But such a large body also represents having a very strong power. If hit once, the injury received is definitely not light. Different from Satoru's situation, Kakashi's two teammates directly gave up. In this round, the team is not that important. "Hey Kakashi, come here." Satoru directly shouted at Kakashi. Now letting Kakashi act on his own, Satoru is very worried. He doesn't know how Kakashi passed the Chunin exam in the original work. But now Kakashi is his own younger brother. He can't put all of Kakashi's life on the world of that manga. From the moment he was born, this world has undergone a huge change. Tisk. Kakashi just gave Satoru a glance, and then continued to stand in place. He really is an unlovable little brother. Satoru's words came out one by one. "It's okay, don't be angry, we'll go with Kakashi later." Miwa quickly comforted. She has been in a team with Satoru for more than a year. Although they are not very familiar with Kakashi, they are definitely not strangers. They usually nod and greet each other when they meet on the street. "It seems that the only person in this world who can subdue you is Kakashi," Masahiro said with some glee. Every time he saw Satoru angry, the reason was 100% because of Kakashi. "Kakashi is really disobedient now. You and him are the same." Masahiro has also heard some rumors about Kakashi. He is very difficult to get along with in the team, and often has conflicts with his teammates. "No, I can only be considered as having a bad character, which is completely different from being disobedient." Hearing Satoru say this, Masahiro looked at Satoru with a surprised look. "Hey, what kind of look is that? So you know you have a bad character," Masahiro said in surprise. "I know, but I won't change. I'll piss you off, hee. Let's go, Miwa. Let's go find Kakashi, don't team up with Satoru." After saying that, without Miwa's consent, Masahiro directly dragged Miwa away. And in the Hokage office building, the third Hokage was watching the scene of the second round of the exam through his telescope technique. There were three people standing next to him. One was his disciple, one of the three nin, Jiraiya. Another was Jiraiya's disciple, Namake's Minato, who has already made a name for himself in the ninja world. And the other was Satoru and Kakashi's father, Hatake Satoru. The four of them were watching this Chunin exam together. "Isn't Orochimaru's way too much?" Jiraiya looked at the scene of the exam and said with a frown, "No, I think this is a very good way of survival of the fittest. After all, no one knows when the war will start again. Letting these people go to the battlefield is no different from sending them to death." Sakumo expressed a different opinion from Jiraiya. Even if his two children are in this dangerous exam, he thinks this exam is good. Although Sakumo is a very kind person, he would rather have his children know when to retreat in the village than send them to death on the battlefield. And the future fourth Hokage, Namake's Minato, is currently a little transparent among these four people. Although he has a lot of potential for future development, now he doesn't even have a share to speak here. But now that Namake's Minato, who has mastered the Flying Thunder God technique, has been heavily used by the third Hokage, it is only a matter of time before he rises to the top. "Minato, what do you think?" The third Hokage asked Namake's Minato, asking him to express his opinion. Although what Orochimaru-sama did is indeed a bit excessive compared to going to the battlefield, it is not dangerous. After all, for these genin now, they only need to guard against those three giant snakes. And on the battlefield, they need to guard everywhere. Good. The third Hokage took a puff of his pipe and nodded, seeming to agree with Namake's Minato's words. "Sakumo, aren't you worried about your children?" Then, Jiraiya asked curiously. He felt that even Kakashi and Satoru would have some trouble facing these giant pythons. Both of them are geniuses. I believe in their strength. As soon as he mentioned his children, Sakumo's face showed a very warm smile. Especially that child Satoru. Now even I seem to have no way to hurt him. Then, Tsukumo said something that surprised everyone. What? Tsukumo, you must be joking. Even if it's your child, you can't praise him like that. Jiraiya asked incredulously. Namake's Minato and Sarutobi Hiruzen also cast doubtful and curious eyes at Tsukumo. But for the doubts of the three people, Tsukumo just smiled and didn't say anything. In the future, you will know the potential of that child. He will definitely surprise everyone. He will definitely guarantee the peace of Konohagakure village. Ha ha ha. Tsukumo, what you said is too exaggerated. Too exaggerated. Even now Konohagakure village has at least 5 Kage-level strengths. They dare not guarantee that Konohagakure will always be in peace. Now people from other villages will also do some small actions from time to time. Then you just wait and see. I believe it won't be long before you will see Satoru's brilliance. Hatake Tsukumo said confidently. And on the examination field, the second round of the Chunin exam has already begun. And there are not many people who continue to take the exam now. Each person has about a 1/3 to 1/4 chance of passing the second round of the exam. When the gate of the Forest of Death was opened, all the genin rushed over like crazy. After all, there are still a few people who hold the idea of winning by speed. But there are also people who, as soon as they enter, directly launch an attack on the teams around them. Although some teams have already formed alliances outside, this kind of alliance is fragile. But Kakashi's figure is like a residual image, directly standing out from the crowd. Kakashi is really busy. In order to take care of Kakashi's safety, Satoru had to split a shadow clone to protect Kakashi. After all, with the speed of Masahiro and Miwa now, they can't catch up with Kakashi. Although it's just a shadow clone, Satoru believes that as long as it's not Orochimaru who makes the move, he can definitely ensure that Kakashi is safe and sound in this battle and can pass the exam. It seems that the relationship between you two brothers is not so good, Satoru. Masahiro said to Satoru with some mockery. Now every time he sees Satoru eating a loss, his heart is very happy. It's not that you are too weak to catch up with Kakashi. What? You bastard. Who are you saying is weak? Just as Masahiro wanted to continue to entangle with Satoru, he suddenly took out a kunai, and then several shuriken flew towards Masahiro's direction from the grass on one side. But Masahiro, who had already sensed the danger in advance, directly knocked all the flying shuriken away. Who's there? Come out. Masahiro looked at the grass cautiously and asked sternly. Miwa also showed a cautious state. Only Satoru looked like he was hanging around, as if he didn't take the previous attack seriously at all. You're pretty good. You actually blocked all my attacks. At this time, a voice suddenly came from the direction of the grass, and then 3 figures slowly emerged from the grass. When they saw the clothes of the 3 people, Masahiro and Miwa's faces instantly showed a serious and somewhat surprised expression, because the symbol of the Uchiha clan was embroidered on the clothes of the 3 people. All 3 of them were from the Uchiha clan. Uchiha, why did you attack us? Masahiro asked seriously. They have never provoked the people of the Uchiha clan, so they can't understand why the other party suddenly attacked them this time. Ha ha ha, you seem to have asked a particularly stupid question. Why did you attack you? Of course, it's because you look the weakest. If we eliminate you, we will have a little more chance. Damn it. Hearing the mocking words of the Uchiha clan, Masahiro's heart was very angry and unwilling, but he was not sure whether he would be the opponent's opponent. At this time, Masahiro's peripheral vision suddenly swept to Satoru, who was drawing circles with his feet on one side. Seeing Satoru's not nervous state, although this state made Masahiro quite angry, it also made Masahiro's heart relax a lot. You're Hatake Satoru, right? At this moment, the other party suddenly looked at Satoru and said, Satoru's face showed a puzzled expression. He didn't know that his name was so big. Even the people of the Uchiha clan knew it. Is it you who defeated our Uchiha clan's Chunin in the graduation exam? And then, Satoru said in a flat tone, of course it's for revenge. So, your main target is me. Satoru understood what they meant in their words. So many teams, why did they pick them? It turns out that everything has a reason. Yes, we do not allow any stains to exist in our Uchiha clan. But those who have insulted our Uchiha clan will be dealt with by us personally. Is that so? Satoru slowly walked to Masahiro's front. Then let me warm up with you guys. I hope your strength can warm me up. Satoru stretched his body in front of everyone. This immediately made the three people of the Uchiha clan feel that they were being despised. And the fact was not wrong. Satoru was indeed despising them, and it was the kind that did not want to hide at all. You two retreat a little bit, otherwise I'm afraid it will affect you. Satoru spoke to Masahiro and Miwa again. Satoru, who are you looking down on, you bastard? However, after Masahiro finished speaking fiercely, he directly pulled Miwa back to one side, which made Satoru's expression appear a little stunned. Satoru thought a little dazedly, wondering when Masahiro had become such a funny person. He knew that stupidity was contagious, but he didn't expect humor to be contagious as well. Since you want to get beaten up, don't blame us for being rude. Then, the three genin from the Uchiha clan rushed towards Satoru. If the other two genin also joined the fight, they would definitely have some trouble. After all, Satoru had defeated their clan's Chunin who possessed the Sharingan. But now Satoru's arrogance made them feel that they had an opportunity. They couldn't think of a reason for failure in a 3-on-1 situation. Masahiro was taken aback when he saw their eyes. 3 pairs of Sharingan, all of which were just one tomo. But as long as the Sharingan was activated, the strength of the Uchiha clan would be significantly improved. For the first punch that came over, Satoru dodged it easily with his hands in his pockets, and another one squatted on the ground, swept his leg, and was dodged by Satoru with a light jump. But at this moment, Satoru suddenly felt a dangerous aura in the higher sky. When he looked up, he found that one of them had jumped to a higher place than himself, raised his leg, and was chopping towards him. Quite a tacit cooperation. This can be considered as Satoru's praise for them. In midair, Satoru forced his body to turn around and easily dodged their attack again. Nice, your cooperation is really quite strong, much stronger than ours. After Satoru landed, he clapped his hands and said, the tone was full of sincerity, and the tone of praise did not make people feel perfunctory. But this sentence made the other 5 people feel angry at the same time. Masahiro and Miwa were angry that Satoru said that their cooperation was not tacit. But this is indeed a fact. Satoru's strength is much different from theirs. Satoru doesn't need to cooperate with them at all. But this is not a reason for Satoru to say that his team is not as good as other teams. After the fight is over, I must clean up Satoru. This is what Masahiro thought in his heart. As for who will clean up whom in the end, that is unknown. The reason why the other party was angry was entirely because they felt that Satoru's words just now were mocking them. They didn't even touch a hair of Satoru, but said that their cooperation was tacit. Isn't this mockery? Come on, use plan B, the leader of the other party said. Then, the other 2 people from the Uchiha clan rushed towards Satoru one after the other. One of them launched an attack on Satoru from the front. But it seemed that Satoru had no intention of counterattacking, and his hands were always in his pockets. Another one launched a sneak attack on Satoru from behind. But what they didn't know was that Satoru's 6 eyes had no dead ends at 360 degrees. Even if the attack came from behind, Satoru could easily detect it. Then Satoru turned to one side, and the 2 people's attacks became one left and one right. But they were still easily dodged by Satoru. Attack faster, so that I won't feel any pressure. Such a truly mocking remark instantly aroused the anger of the 2 people from the Uchiha clan. It seemed that because of this anger, their attacks really sped up a lot, but their fists still couldn't touch Satoru's body. You 2 get out of the way now. Suddenly, another voice from the Uchiha clan sounded, and the 2 people who were besieging Satoru quickly pulled apart. Fire release, Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson. A voice rang out, and several fireballs were launched from the opponent's side towards Satoru. The attack of the Phoenix Immortal Fire technique was not just a frontal attack. It was a fire release attack from 3 sides. Even if Satoru retreated, there would still be fireballs attacking in a straight line. 2 people are holding me back, and another one is using ninjutsu. It's a perfect combat cooperation. Unfortunately, your opponent is me. Satoru's figure quickly dodged among the fireballs, but looking at the opponent's expression, it seemed that they had expected this. Lightning release, Earth Wave. Just then, a member of the Uchiha clan who had retreated slapped the ground with both hands, and currents of electricity began to flicker on the ground instantly. Damn! Satoru muttered a curse under his breath. He understood that the gap he had just dodged from the Phoenix Immortal Fire technique was deliberately left by the opponent to lure him to this place. The power of lightning release. Earth Walk is not very great, but it will make a person's body feel a bit numb, thereby reducing the person's reaction speed. Fire release, great fireball technique. Another person who had retreated stood directly on the side of a big tree and launched the great fireball technique. The huge fireball instantly engulfed Satoru. We did it. The three of them were overjoyed. The great fireball they used would not take a person's life, but it would definitely injure the opponent. Satoru, Masahiro, and Miwa immediately shouted, very worried about Satoru's safety in the fireball. And the few people watching this battle in the Hokage office building also immediately showed serious expressions on their faces. Sakumo, I will definitely hold the Uchiha clan accountable for you, the third Hokage said solemnly. But when he looked up at Sakumo's expression, he found that there was no worry on Sakumo's face. Don't worry, Satoru will be fine. Hearing this, the other three people all looked at Sakumo with surprised eyes. They had just seen clearly that Satoru was indeed engulfed by the great fireball, and he did not use any shadow clone technique or substitution technique, which means that the one who was engulfed was Satoru's real body. As if to confirm Sakumo's words, when the great fireball dissipated, Satoru appeared in front of everyone unscathed. You're kidding. Impossible. The three members of the Uchiha clan all fell into deep self-doubt. They now doubt whether there is something wrong with their eyes. But it's impossible. Although it's not a 3-tomo Sharingan, it's still a Sharingan. It's impossible to make a mistake. Well, it was almost dangerous. It really scared me to death, Satoru said in an exaggerated tone, somewhat scared. But next, is it my turn to make a move? After all, I have let you play for so long. With that, a brilliant smile appeared on Satoru's face. And when they saw this smile, the three members of the Uchiha clan suddenly had a bad feeling in their hearts. Easily, with just taijutsu, Satoru had instantly killed these three people. They didn't even have time to react. When they came to their senses, they found that Satoru had tied them up tightly. All right, mission accomplished. Satoru clapped his hands, smiling. What everyone failed to notice was that within this dense thicket, a small white snake was quickly disappearing. This little white snake eventually crawled to the second proctor, Orochimaru. Looking into the eyes of the little white snake, Orochimaru seemed to have seen the battle scene just now. After a while, Orochimaru's face showed a meaningful smile. Even after taking a direct hit from the great fireball technique, you're unscathed. It seems there are many secrets on your body worth exploring, Satoru, Orochimaru muttered to himself. Satoru was completely unaware that he had been targeted by a dangerous figure. After all, Orochimaru was someone Satoru should pay some attention to. After all, his limitless technique has no way to resist toxins. If he really gets poisoned, he would find it very troublesome. Sakumo, what's going on? The third Hokage asked Hatake Sakumo. Namikaze Minato and Jiraiya also showed curious expressions. All of them could survive unscathed in the great fireball technique, but most of them rely on their own strong physical fitness, or rely on their own speed to dodge. Otherwise, they use substitution techniques and other ninjutsu. But Satoru didn't do anything just now. This is Satoru's Kekkei Genkai. Although I don't understand it, I only know that if Satoru doesn't want to get hurt, then no one can hurt him. Sakumo, you're not joking, are you? Jiraiya spoke directly. But when he saw Hatake Sakumo's serious expression, he knew that what he had just said might be true. Are you sure, Sakumo? The third Hokage also asked seriously. If this is the case, isn't Hatake Satoru's Kekkei Genkai a bit too terrifying? This is absolute defense. Yes, and Satoru's Kekkei Genkai is not just this ability. According to him, there are many abilities that have not been developed. But I won't say more after all, this is Satoru's secret. Sakumo telling these things to the third Hokage is already a great loyalty to Konohagakure. After all, this can be said to have revealed a big part of Satoru's trump card. It seems, Sakumo, you really have provided 2 pillars of talent for the village, the third Hokage said with a gratified expression, but his heart was also a bit heavy. Now that Namikaze Minato has mastered the Flying Thunder God technique, in a few years, when Minato's strength grows a bit more, Sarutobi Hiruzen plans to choose the next Hokage between his disciple Orochimaru and his grand disciple Namikaze Minato. But looking at it now, Hatake Sakumo also has the ability to run for Hokage. No, it's my honor to contribute to the village, Hatake Sakumo said modestly. Hokage-sama, Sakumo-sama, I hope to take Kakashi as my disciple. At this moment, Namake's Minato suddenly spoke. The three people present all looked at Namake's Minato with curious eyes. Why? But no matter how you look at it, big brother Hatake Satoru's talent is superior. Jiraiya looked at his own disciple and asked in confusion. Although they had just seen Kakashi effortlessly deal with a giant python, among all the graduates, Kakashi is definitely a unique genius. But it is clear that Satoru, who has Kekkei Genkai, is stronger. Indeed, Hatake Satoru's talent might be stronger, but after all, he has Kekkei Genkai. In this regard, I have no experience, so I'm not sure I can provide useful guidance to Satoru. So I think Kakashi is more suitable for me, and I see my past self in Kakashi. Being a genius as well, perhaps Kakashi is best taught by you. The third Hokage nodded. And if Tsukumo's child was really given to Minato, then Kakashi might play a huge role in the competition for Hokage. What do you think, Tsukumo? The third Hokage asked Tsukumo for his opinion again. After all, Kakashi is not a civilian ninja. He has Hatake Tsukumo as a backer. If Tsukumo is not satisfied, even if he is the third Hokage, he cannot force it. I trust Minato very much. Although Hatake Tsukumo has had fewer dealings with Minato, he has heard many rumors about Namake's Minato. He has been a genius since he was a child, and once rescued the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki from the hands of Kumogakure ninja. It is said that at that time, Minato was only a chunin, but he easily defeated 3 jonin from Kumogakure ninja. The most important thing is that he mastered the Flying Thunder God technique created by the second Hokage-sama. So handing Kakashi over to him, Hatake Tsukumo is very relieved. Thank you for your trust, Tsukumo-sama. I will definitely train Kakashi into an excellent ninja. Namake's Minato bowed seriously to Hatake Tsukumo. Yes, but Minato, there's no rush for this. After all, to form a team, we still need 2 more genin. And now there are few genin qualified to team up with Kakashi. The third Hokage has also heard about Kakashi joining some teams. He thinks his teammates are all burdens. When performing tasks, most of them like to act alone. You can take Kakashi to perform some tasks first. As for his teammates, let's see if there are any good seedlings among the students who graduated from the Ninja Academy in the past few years. Yes, Hokage-sama. Hatake Tsukumo had no objections. And in the forest of death of the Chunin exam, Kakashi, after resting for a while after dealing with the giant python, successfully reached the central tower and was the first to arrive. Afterwards, the second and third places also arrived one after another. Looking at each of them, they all had more or less some injuries. Obviously, on the way here, they all experienced tough battles, and many people even experienced more than one battle. Hasn't he arrived yet? Kakashi frowned. There were only 3 spots left. But just then, a noisy sound came from a distance. Satoru, it's all your fault, insisting on having a picnic. If we don't make it this time, I'll make you pay. As soon as Kakashi heard this, he knew whose voice it was. It was Satoru's teammate, Masahiro's voice. But didn't you also eat ravenously? If you didn't make barbecue, I wouldn't eat. The sound of their argument was getting closer and closer. And the first few people who arrived had already turned somewhat dark. What did they hear? There was actually a team having a picnic? Is the gap between people really that big?
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.